What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. And tonight I'm joined by a very special guest for the first half hour of the show, Alex Rollins of AlexRollinsNFL. You can find him on YouTube. Just go ahead and search Alex Rollins NFL, and he'll pop back up. He did a video about a week ago on Tua Tagovailoa, and he posed the question: Is Tua time up yet? How you doing, Alex? How's everything going tonight?
Doing good, man. Your intro got me fired up there. I'm ready to get into it, man. Chop it up.
Appreciate it, man. So let's hop right into it. No, not going to waste any time here because I know you're pressed for it. You're just for those that haven't seen it. Okay, I've watched it multiple times. I even watched it as a refresher about a half hour ago. Can you just give everyone the gist of what you saw in Tua Tagovailoa's rookie year? Because I don't want to call it a conspiracy theory, but there's a theory amongst a lot of Dolphin fans, those who watch tape, and then it's trickled down to those who don't watch tape, that basically this offense was more catered to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that last year, and that, some people say two different playbooks, but there wasn't two different playbooks. But people were saying it almost seemed like there was two different playbooks when Ryan Fitzpatrick was in compared to when Tua Tagovailoa was in there. Can you just give us the gist of your video? Because you did touch on that a lot, and you didn't even know any of that I just said, that little bickering that's been going on in the Dolphins community.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think there's a lot of different ideas floating around, and I definitely read this stuff on Twitter, and I get all these different voices on Dolphins Twitter and letting me know what people agree with and don't. There's a lot going on here. I feel like there's so many different moving parts, especially last offseason kind of going into it. And I would say it doesn't seem like I don't think there was a set plan to say, hey, we're going to draft Tua here at this time and then go from there. It seems like there's many kind of almost like the plan is a tree, and the branches are just growing in different directions, and there's not just one set course for ultimately making Tua. This was a plan that we needed when Flores took over, and it seems like it's veered in different ways, whereas the right way to do it is to build slowly in the right direction and end up where Tua is a good quarterback, because he does have a lot of skills. There's no doubt about that. So, when looking at even just last year and then the year before, we won't get so much into the Chad O'Shea stuff, but anytime you hire an offensive coordinator and he's gone after a year, that's just a red flag. That's what happened there. We have a plan. We need to implement. The reason why the Patriots were so good is because they had a system in place, and Brady grew into that system, and the system grew around him for 20 years, or I guess, 18 or 19 or whatever. But he learned in that system, and he grew, and the language didn't change, and the checks didn't change, and he had more and more answers. Whereas once we get rid of O'Shea, once we get rid of Gailey, all of a sudden we're not growing towards something, So that's definitely a bit of a red flag for me. To what you were saying, I think the playbook, as you said, it was the same. It seemed like it was Fitzpatrick's playbook, and then some college stuff jammed in once Tua got in there. So it didn't seem like we had a plan in place to draft Tua with Gailey and have him grow with Gailey. It just seemed like a bunch of different ideas kind of coming together that didn't really work out.
Now, when I'm going to tell you something that I was told, and I want to get your thoughts on when you hear this and now when you look back at the film and you've seen Gailey and everything. So before the Gailey hire, from what I was told, Ryan Fitzpatrick was approached and he was asked about recommending an offensive coordinator that could help the Dolphins not only move forward with Ryan Fitzpatrick for at least a year, but also develop a young quarterback as well in the system. Are you surprised? Well, I know you're not surprised that Fitzpatrick would suggest Chan Gailey given their success together, but are you surprised that they would have moved forward with a guy like that who, Alex, I know, like, I know, I'm sure you know, Chan Gailey's never been known as a guy who develops young quarterbacks. I mean, we can't even sit here and probably name one. Are you surprised they went that route with a guy who he was retired? Word leaked out that he had even gone as far as throwing out his notes on defensive coordinators across the NFL when he retired, and was inquiring with his friends across the NFL for their notes on certain defensive coordinators he was going to face. And that's how bad it got. Are you surprised the Dolphins went from Chad O'Shea to kind of a old school, more archaic type of play caller like Chan Gailey, when, like the story I told you, they didn't specifically say Tua Tagovailoa, but they knew they were drafting a quarterback. Are you surprised they would go with a guy like Chan Gailey?
Yeah, and I just question what the plan was if everything had worked out. We saw Chan retire, or maybe there was some issues where they were going to fire him anyway, and so he said, "All right, I'm retiring."
Yeah,
almost like a George Costanza or something. But after 1 year, he's gone. I can't get over that. I am surprised by it, and I think he was very old coming into this. He had already worked with Fitzpatrick twice, so I'm wondering. It's really interesting because you would think Justin Herbert, and I'm not saying, oh my, it looks like Herbert is at a more developed point than Tua. I don't think many would argue that right now. But I don't really like going revisionist history and saying, oh my God, what are they doing, et cetera, et cetera. I do wonder if they were going to build and implement more of a Fitzpatrick-based system with Gailey, why they didn't go with a Herbert, or they just seems like such a complete polar opposite in terms of Fitzpatrick and Tua and just some of the inherent things that you need to build an offense around. I mean, Tua is just such a completely different player. It really blows my mind. And going back kind of to your first question, I think the personnel that the Dolphins had in terms of their skill position players was really, when I started researching for the episode and just looking at how the Dolphins were managing things, these were very much Fitzpatrick-based weapons, where these are bigger guys. They're going to win a lot of the isolation stuff, which we'll touch on in a second. They're not Tua needs it's rhythm. He needs a rhythm-based system, and these guys are gonna go up one-on-one. And Devontae Parker is incredibly good at that, and Mike Gesicki is incredibly good at that. And they're gonna muscle you off the ball, and they are good route runners, but they're not. Speed is not their forte. And we didn't really have any of those type of guys. We had Jakeem Grant, but he hasn't shown a high level of success in the NFL per se. And I guess Albert Wilson was injured. So it just, all of this seems so geared towards Fitzpatrick. I'm just wondering, there seems like there was some turmoil at the front office where what was the plan here? Was it maybe somebody did want Herbert, or maybe we just weren't planning at all for Tua? It just, there's so many questions. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm confused by it, honestly.
So you said something there, Key. Did someone want Herbert? And from what I understand, and Dan Marino has an executive role with the Miami Dolphins, right? Like as a what do you call it? As kind of a advisor role. From what I understand, Dan Marino was pro Herbert. From what you know who Jason LaCanfora is, obviously, too, right?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Okay. Jason LaCanfora put out an article last week, and let's just back up for a sec here. So Jason LaCanfora put out an article a couple days after the allegations hit with Deshaun Watson. Okay, I know someone who's really locked in with the Philadelphia Eagles organization. He messaged me the night before this Jason LaCanfora article came out, and he told me, hey, the Eagles have made multiple offers on Deshaun Watson, but San Francisco and Miami are leading the way. All right. Fast forward to the very next morning, Jason LaCanfora put out an article, and it was talking about how the Eagles were making offers for Deshaun Watson. And in that same article, he said that the Dolphins wanted to trade back up to 6 the way they did from 12 because they wanted to make sure they got one of the Bama boys, either Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. And now we've seen the draft play out. We saw that, we weren't, apparently we had Jalen Waddle as the number 2 ranked player on our board behind Trevor Lawrence, just like people saw the Jacksonville Jaguars had that through their little documentary, right? They weren't the only one.
Oh my God.
Anyways, where I'm going with this is this. Last week, Jason Lockenfora put out an article where he predicted like offensive rookie of the year, offensive MVP, all that jazz. Okay. In one part, it's called First Botch QB. It talks about Tua Tagovailoa. And he said that word is from high-ranking officials in other organizations, not in the Miami Dolphins, but you know how it works, Alex. People talk, people have friends in other organizations, et cetera, et cetera. High-ranking officials in other organizations have said that Flores is not all in on Tua Tagovailoa and that he was in the pro Herbert camp. And so when you hear something like that, you know, I was at the firm belief of the way this thing was going with Watson and everything. I don't think Flores wanted a quarterback at 5, a defensive-minded guy. I don't think he did, but here we are, you know. I think, you know, if you go back to the 2018 draft, word is Greer was rolling around that draft in Atlanta telling anyone who would listen backstage, I'm going to draft Tua Tagovailoa when I have the chance, because it was just after the national championship win, right? So when you say that, when you look at this offense in kind of a confused manner, and you hear what I just said about Jason Lockenfora, does that kind of make more sense to you now?
Definitely. Yeah. And I think I was somebody who was very anti-Herbert, to be honest with you, coming out of the draft. So I've completely put my foot in my mouth on that one.
Yep. So have I.
But yeah, stylistically, we just that it's so important, and to from the front down, from the top down, excuse me, from the offensive personnel, from the scheme, everything needs to be aligned. And I was higher on Tua than Herbert, and there was a pretty sizable gap there, in my opinion, coming out. And I just didn't see nearly as much as what I saw Tua doing really well at Alabama. He didn't really have the opportunity to do that last year, and a lot of that was his fault. Like there's no doubt about that. It's not like there was the OC was just calling things to screw him or things like that. The report came out that he didn't really know the playbook, and I want to touch on that too. I've seen a lot on Twitter that's almost like a good thing, because now that he knows the playbook, that he's going to be that much better, and he's going to have the big year 2 jump. I mean, Herbert and Burrow knew the playbook, and they had the same offseason. I know Tua had the hip and whatnot, but that's something. When you watch his game and you watch what he excelled at Alabama, it was clear that the pre-snap elements and the ability to get through his progressions and go 1, 2, 3, 4, that was where he was going to separate himself, and what he was really good at, and why he was so good. And so because he was so removed from that, and also not really showing the mental aspects that I was expecting to see with Miami, that's where I start to be really concerned and say, okay, well, why didn't you know the playbook? Maybe it was more advanced because Fitz had the prior history with Gailey and whatnot, but the other rookie quarterbacks looked pretty dang good with the same offseason. So that's something I'm definitely worried about for sure.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, he put up almost identical numbers to Joe Burrow. And, you know, we talked about this before on live here. You know, the thing is, those playbooks were a little bit more catered towards those guys than what he dealt with. But I agree, you know, I don't expect a rookie in his rookie season to learn 80% of the playbook. That's a lot to take in for a rookie. But I wanted to talk about this because we touched on it a little bit earlier. You know, the isolation, all right, how it was more of an isolation offense, getting those 50-50 matchups, those jump balls, because we had more high point guys in terms of Gesicki and DVP and even Preston Williams. You know what I mean? Can you just talk a little bit about what you saw in terms of explain the isolation offense you saw play itself out, and as opposed to what kind of more in depth of what kind of offense needs to be ran to cater towards more of Tua's style?
Certainly. That's a great question. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways to at least attempt to isolate a receiver, and coaches have been trying to do that for God knows how long. But the way that Gailey was trying to do it last year, and if you go to NFL Game Pass and turn it on, just go to the All 22, This pops up all the time, both with Fitzpatrick and with Tua, and Gailey just kept doing it and doing it. And it's not necessarily bad, but it's just not necessarily geared towards Tua's strengths. So one of the most typical things they did to try and isolate a receiver is they put, for example, 3 receivers to the right side and then just 1 receiver to the left. So that's on the left with the one-on-one. If you see a one-on-one, that's called your alert. And so if we see before the snap starts, before the play starts, if we see that guy is one-on-one, we're just going to take that, and it was usually a fade ball. And so you're saying, okay, the safety's not over there. Nobody's over top. We don't see any kind of bracket or cone coverage or anything. We like the one-on-one. We're paying Devontae Parker. We're paying Mike Gesicki big money. We just want those guys to try and win. And if you look at the 49ers game, for example, with Fitzpatrick, he was just bombs away. He was bombs away with these alert style concepts. And he was taking the alert. The 49ers pretty frequently give you the backside one-on-one, and Fitz was awesome with it. So when we go a little later in the season and we see Tua, it's basically the same stuff. And he did have some success in the Cardinals game, and that's why we did see him with some of that deep ball success, which didn't necessarily happen throughout the rest of the season. But we did see some of that success with the one-on-one stuff down the field. And that was just the Cardinals were giving him that one-on-one matchup on the left. So if there is a safety or some kind of two-man coverage on the one receiver, then there's just a concept, which is double slants or stick, something like that, to try and manipulate certain defenders and get a different guy open. So that's more the style that Tua is going to excel in, more the concept stuff. And what's tricky is for somebody like Tua who needs to be in rhythm, who needs to get through his progressions, if you are looking at the alert as the play starts, that's going to mess up all your concept stuff backside. So now we're not developing as much. And think about it when we're in practice, if we are practicing the isolation style offense, we're not normally going through a lot of the concepts on the backside, on the right side in this example. Those are going to be concepts that are going to be run. They don't change that much based on if we're doing the isolation style offensive or not. So those are the kind of things where Tua's then not getting in the normal comfort of the play call. He was leaving the pocket a lot, and I think there are a variety of reasons, including not knowing the playbook, but also being late from the alert, not hitting that, being late on the concept, and then just kind of panicking and scrambling. So that's what I'm talking about when the isolation aspects come up. You know, there were some balls where he really had to kind of jam them into Gesicki over the middle. There's this one specific route that kind of changes based on where the safeties are, that Fitzpatrick would pretty much just look to the right and then just to get the safeties to move, and then just say, I'm jamming this son of a gun right up the middle to Gesicki, because that's what I do, because I'm Fitzmagic. And that's just not Tua. You know, that's not who he is. That's not his play style. That's not really, doesn't play to his strengths. And I saw an interesting stat that really jumped out to me. Tua and Fitz were both it's a stat from Next Gen Stats. It's called aggressive percentage.
Stats, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's when you throw the ball to a receiver, is there a defender within 1 yard of him?
Yeah. Yep.
And they were both at the highest.
Yep. They were top 3. They're both top 3.
Yes. But I think that's interesting, though. I don't think that means they're necessarily the most aggressive. I think it speaks more to the style of offense they were in. So in ISO ball, defenders are going to be all over them. And with Devontae Parker, with Preston Williams, Mike Gesicki, these aren't separators. These are guys who, have muscle and are going to beat you up and win the jump ball. So I think the personnel changing with Waddle and Fuller, as we mentioned, that's something I was very happy to see for Tua, because we're starting to get towards the style that he can excel in. And we're not just saying, all right, man, we have good enough weapons, just go out there and get better. So that was very exciting. And I'm very interested to see. Little concerned about 2 offensive coordinators. I don't really know what to think about that, especially I don't believe either of them really have too deep of a
Godsey
about
was the offensive coordinator in 2015 for the Houston Texans, back when they had Savage and Brandon Whedon and all those jabronis, as I call them. And the four of them, he actually had the 15th best passing attack in the NFL with those guys.
Yeah, I
So,
just
we'll see.
two offensive coordinators. I don't understand that. I hope the power dynamic is set, and I hope Flores. I believe Flores knows what he's doing, but definitely a little concerning. But back to the overall isolation aspects of the offense. That's really what we're talking about when it's really focusing on those one-on-one balls and just saying our guys are better than yours, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about the aggression rate, something that has to be put into context too is when you compare Tua to Herbert and Burrow, Herbert, the average separation of his top two targets was about 2.5 yards. Burrow was about 2.6. Tua was about 1.85. Tua also had about his time to throw on average is about 2.55. Burrow was 2.65 and Herbert was about 2.69. So he had less time to throw the ball and he had less almost a full yard between the two of them and less separation. So that kind of stuff matters, especially when you talk about like what we're talking about. He comes from that RPO, that pro style based offense in Alabama where it's all about separation. Right. Definitely an adjustment. And, they went out and they drafted Jalen Waddle. They went out and they signed Will Fuller. Albert Wilson opted out last year because of COVID because he was having a baby. So he's back right now. And apparently he's just balling out at practice right now. When you add those three receivers to the mix, those are guys who can stretch the field vertically, or they can really kill you underneath because of their speed, right? I've shown the video. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Waddle in his freshman year ran up against Henry Ruggs in a 40 as a sophomore, and they finished neck and neck at the goal line on a 40-yard dash. And we all know Henry Ruggs ran a 4.27. Josh Jacobs came out in Waddle's freshman season that said, he legit has 4.27 speed. I know he was the fastest, I think, since they introduced GPS, the GPS timing that they've been, the GPS tracking they've been doing at the collegiate level. I don't know if you noticed it, but they've been doing it for like the last 3 or 4 years. Yep. I believe Jalen Waddle is the fastest they've tracked in the last 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
So that's another reason why I don't think he ran his 40 this year. Anyways, my point being is, by the addition of Albert Wilson returning from COVID, Will Fuller, and now Jalen Waddle, and what I told you before we went live here about Najee Harris saying to Pat McAfee, around the Senior Bowl that he read our playbook and it's really essentially the same as what they ran at Alabama, just it's more the terminology is different. Then they go and who did they add? They added the new quarterback coach is Charlie Fry, right? Who was with Tua at the Elite 11, and they've been friends ever since the Elite 11. Studesville and Godsey were both in the building last year. Godsey tight ends coach, Studesville running back coach. Godsey ran the offense in the Arizona game, which they found some of the most success. So they're trying to keep that continuity to some degree. When you look at the weapons they've added, are these the guys you're talking about catering more to his play style?
Definitely. I'm very excited about Waddle. I think if Tua is going to have success, I think he's going to be one of the primary reasons. I'm really interested to see what they do with Will Fuller. Tua, his strength is not throwing the ball deep, and where we've seen Will Fuller have the most success is with Watson just bombing the ball over everybody's head. So I'm very interested to see if Fuller's going to be more of the intermediate guy. I know they're putting Waddle in the slot, and I really like that. And I think Tua, the rapport with him and Tua will be critical. I can't stress that enough. And it'll be interesting to see if Fuller, like I just said, is that intermediate guy and not if he's just taking the top off the defense. From what I've seen from Tua, that's not going to be there. That's just not going to be maximizing Fuller's capability in this offense. So I'm very excited about those pieces. I'm still Dolphins Twitter has been slandering the hell out of Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki. I'm seeing when I put out the video, everybody's saying like Tua didn't have any weapons. I'm like, hey, Devontae Parker's had 1,200 yards, man. And Gesicki's a dude. So they weren't incredible weapons. We're talking about how they didn't really fit with Tua per se, but these guys are established NFL players. So I'm excited to still see what Devontae Parker can do with those kind of different elements and within this different offense. And Gesicki, I really like Gesicki. I think he is a legitimate difference maker. So now we have a lot of weapons for Tua. Maybe we had average weapons. Maybe I think they were above average, but now we have a lot of weapons. So I'm excited. Yes. I think one thing that Dolphins fans can look at week 1 and say, okay, is our guy Tua better? Tua is not a running quarterback. He had you can find his highlights on YouTube, and yeah, he juked a couple guys, but when he's escaping the pocket, that's not where he wants to be. The play is dead at that point, essentially.
His strength is climbing the pocket, resetting his feet, and making the throw.
Exactly. And when you're rhythm based, when you're all about timing, when we're escaping the pocket, it's no good. So if we're seeing Tua sit in there, be comfortable, I know the O-line is there are some issues there. So especially for a rookie quarterback, one could see why it would be more difficult to sit in that pocket, especially if you don't know the playbook as well. That's definitely a concern if you're a quarterback. But I think Tua, he's very coachable. I think his character is incredible. I think him escaping the pocket like that is something that can be coached out of him. And if he is more comfortable with this new playbook, that he will have comfort sitting in there and not escaping. But I will say if it was very frustrating to watch on film. So if that's something that keeps happening, that's where I'd say, okay, I'm very worried. This guy hasn't really seemed to make that much progress in the offseason. When I think with Burrow and I think with Herbert, their year 2 jump, even if it's minimal, it's so much more critical for Tua to have. Tua needs to have a very large jump. It has to be very large. Mm-hmm. And I think even if we just see a slight increase with Herbert and Burrow, there's not really much of a worry. But it's a big year for Tua. And I wasn't trying to say with my video, I know some people saw the Tua time is up. That was just the question. That was not a statement.
And they came for you, huh?
Yeah, they came for me. And hey, I'm ready for it. I respect it.
I know you're pressed for time. I just got 2 questions I want to ask you before you get out of here.
Sure.
First, a statement, and I just wanted to know whether you, before I get to the 2 questions, a statement. Mm-hmm. I know you probably watched a lot of them at Bama too. Did you notice at the top of his drops, he was taking like an extra little hop step? He never did that at Bama, but all of a sudden at the top of his drops last year, he was doing this little, I know you talked about the extra hitches he was taking, mm-hmm. but at the top of his drops, he was doing this little bop, little hop step. And I was like, what are you doing? Because there was one play, I want to say it was a Kansas City game, where Gesicki was open over the seam and he had to throw it in between the bracket, and he did, but he threw it a little bit late because of that extra hop he took at the top of his drop, and Gesicki ended up getting smacked as soon as he made the catch instead of being able to catch the ball, come down and make a play. I don't know if you noticed it, but that's something else I noticed about Tua. There was just a lot of stuff I saw that I didn't see at Bama, and just his fundamentals and his techniques. But anyways, my first question out of the 2 I have before you get out of here, because you watched so much of it, what did you think of the offensive line? I know you touched on it a little bit there, because all we've done this year is add Liam Eichenberg, who's apparently kicking from left tackle at Notre Dame. He's going to play right tackle. Robert Hunt's moving into guard, and we upgraded by putting Matt Skura over Ted Karras at center. But, Kinley's at left guard, Austin Jackson's at left tackle. So really a lot of the same guys. And I really feel like, and I know you probably got the sense, there were times where you could tell he didn't trust the protection. That's why he wasn't climbing. And it almost came by the end of the season, as I'm sure you noticed by the time you're watching the all 22, by the time he got in, he was just automatically bailing. He wasn't even thinking of climbing. It was snap. Oh, I feel the pressure. I'm out. And that's not to his game. And I just want to get your thoughts on the offensive line, and if you think Tua didn't trust the protection to a certain extent.
No, I certainly agree. It was problematic, no doubt. And I think there's always a chicken and egg question. Is it bad protection? Is the quarterback bad? Who are the sacks on? Who's the pressure on? I do think it was interesting. I mean, Tua seemed like he was under constant duress, and maybe because he was just scrambling out of the pocket, the pressure numbers weren't, jotted down or whatever by the people who took down the numbers. But he was 28th in pressure percentage. It was just 29%. And I was very surprised. I think there are plenty of issues on the offensive line, and I'm definitely hoping for significant improvement with those additions or changes that you just mentioned. But yeah, just yes. There was a lot of issues even with just picking up stunts, which is something
terrible,
that just needs to be. It was absolutely terrible, and it's just something that needs to be repped over and over and over. And yeah, if you're a quarterback standing in there, a lot of times stunts, when a stunt comes free, it's not because they're bringing extra guys. It's just because your offensive line isn't picking it up correctly.
Yeah.
And that pressure can hit you instantly. And if that's happening a couple times, and just imagine sitting back there and you don't know the playbook and you just are not comfortable and you don't trust the protection. It's a lot of bad just compiling and compounding. That's not good. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be important 100%. I want to see a lot more production out of the play action pass game. That was one of Tua's strengths in Alabama, and his numbers actually got worse when we were doing play action last year. So I that'll help the protection. You aren't going to have guys just sprinting straight up field all the time, and that will Jalen Waddle, if he gets a route right behind the linebackers who are sucked up from the play action, he can take that thing 80. So can Will Fuller. So that's something that would help the protection. It would give Tua more help with things that he's been good at in the past. I think those things will be critical to making the protection better, as well as hopefully the additions that you just mentioned.
All right, guys, we got about 290 people in the room. Go ahead, smash that like button. My last question, Alex, before I let you go here. Nick Hicks, the man who Tua has been training with this offseason out of Perform in South Florida, where a lot of actually, Singletary's been, Devin Singletary's been there. J.K. Dobbins have been working out there. A lot of guys have been working out there this offseason. He came out and he said that Tua Tagovailoa at best was at about 60% health-wise last year when he was starting, because remember, he's only 351 days removed from that traumatic injury by the time he actually had his first start. Tua's talked about it. Nick Hicks' trainers talked about it. He was using a lot of upper body to throw the football. I talk about this all the time. There was a dig route against the Oakland Raiders where the ball just died on him. It's like a 10-yard dig right before it got to Gesicki, and you never saw that with Tua ever. And he's talked about it. His trainer talked about how he was really using pure, mostly upper body strength. Devontae Parker's come out this year. He said, I've noticed improved footwork. I've noticed improved mechanics with Tua Tagovailoa. And you know how the quarterback position is. It's a kinetic chain. It's all about kinetic energy from your toes all the way to your fingertips with that ball coming out, right? So when you take everything into context of what you saw from him last year, his throwing strength, his motion and everything, and then it sets in that he was only at 60% health from what people are saying close to him. Just your thoughts on that, because I mean, do you think that's irresponsible for a coaching staff? Because if his trainer knows that, the Dolphins medical staff must have known that. And even let's put an extra 10%. Let's say he was 70%. As a rookie still learning the offensive playbook, he had a rehab body. If you notice at Alabama, he was always ripped from the bottom up. And last year he had a lot of baby fat. His lower half was, looked way bigger than his upper half. And that's basically because rehab body, he's making sure that he's leveling out those hips, right? Working on those glutes. So what are your thoughts when you hear that his camp coming out and saying, Tua was only at 60% health last year? Do you treat last year as we saw Tua's floor? Do you see it as an anomaly and we haven't seen his floor yet, let alone what's his ceiling? Just when you hear that and you put that into context with everything you saw from him last year, what does that make you think?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. It definitely makes me the whole year. It was so confusing why they benched Fitzpatrick. And I feel like the more we hear about these little things that come out like that, why did we bench Fitzpatrick? I mean, I know they were 3-3 and Tua went 7-3. So that's definitely a feather in his cap. It just didn't make sense. And especially if he was at 60% and they were risking injury and they felt confident enough in him to spend a 5th overall pick. I mean, this is a 5th overall pick in a pretty loaded just draft all around. Why, if they had those injury concerns, why would they bench Fitzpatrick? And then why would they flip him in and out of the lineup? The whole thing was very strange. So as I said, I was big on Tua. I don't think physical ability was ever the main part of his game. I don't think it was necessarily.
It was a neck up. It was a neck up, right?
Exactly. I think in college, it was slightly above average. So it wasn't great. I mean, his arm and his physical ability. And then last year, it was something that was like, oh, this might be an issue now. So if it is that he was at 60% and now we're going to see a 30-40% increase, then that would be huge. I think the mental aspect, like I said, is going to be where he finds himself being successful in the NFL. And so even with increased arm strength, or let's say all of a sudden he's just slinging it 80 yards, if the mental aspect's still what it was last year, then I'm still super worried, honestly, because that's where I saw special qualities in Tua. And I think there needs to be, I think one of the things I really remember liking about him was ability to manipulate defenders, second level defenders,
size.
And then and just in rhythm. He was doing to do that at a college level, at the level he was doing. I got really excited, and I was excited to see him on the Dolphins, and I'm excited to see him do that in 2021. But it's those kind of things where, like we've talked about, the quick hitting stuff, concepts, progressions, mental ability, having a plan for each play. I don't think he had a plan. And I really hope that's where those offensive coordinators are going to help him just feel confident. Because like you said, he didn't feel confident. He didn't feel good about the plays. He didn't feel good about the protection. He needs to have a plan. And
probably too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're already, and just all those things you're thinking about that aren't going straight forward into what we need to be thinking about for this play, those add up. And then you don't see the consistency that you hope to see. And a good example of that, it's a play I put in the video. It was this Bengals play, and he has 7 guys on the line, 7 defenders on the line. So they're showing an all-out blitz, and he only has 6 guys.
Blitz, right? The cover
exactly, exactly. And that's, as you said as well, where he took that little hitch, and it was just, you have to know if all these guys come, it's simple math. We don't have enough guys, so the ball has to come out, and I just don't think that confidence was quite there. I don't think Gesicki didn't really turn his head at the right time. So you could take that a couple of different ways. Does Tua just need to anticipate Gesicki coming out of his break? Or maybe it was a play call issue, stuff like that. So I just think all those things, Tua needs to be the kind of guy where the mental ability is, if there's 7 guys on the line and we have 6, like, I'm going to dominate that play. I'm going to throw the ball on time. I'm going to throw it earlier if I need to. Those are the kind of things that he needs, like, at a higher rate than the other 2 guys. Like, that's what I thought Tua was going to be coming into the NFL, just already like mentally right there, ready to rock. So that's what I'm really hoping to see in 2021.
All right. This is the quickest question ever, but I got to ask you because people in the comments, we got 300 people in the room right now. They want to know. We've talked about his health being at 60% potentially. We've talked about how this season it seems like it's more of a playbook catered to him, and that's why the offensive coordinators have been stressing retention for him. And I mean, how is it easier to retain when it's a lot more plays that are easier and you're familiar with, right? Do you think this is the ultimate question, bro? This is it. Do you think Tua takes that leap and puts a lot of the noise to bed and a lot of the haters to bed this year?
It's tough. I don't think he's going to take the leap that we've been talking about, where it is that high of a leap, where he's the ideal leap. I don't think he takes the ideal leap, But I think there were so many things out of his control that were going against him last year that I think we'll find ourselves somewhere in between of that ideal leap and then just staying where we are right now. I think the personnel is very important. I am excited. The whole Gailey thing was just weird. And like him retiring after a year, that's just weird. And what is he? Is he like he's 80 or excuse me, he's like 70, right?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say 80, but
he cosplays like he's 80. Don't worry.
Hey, there we go.
Oh man, that was awesome, man. We got 301 people in the room, man. Alex, I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to come on here and talk to Tua Tagovailoa with everyone and a little bit of Jalen Waddle. Can you just go ahead, plug your channel, plug anything you got coming up soon, anything you just put out, so people can go find your content.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man. It was a blast. Very nice to meet you. I do an episode every week on Saturdays. It's very heavy into the all 22 aspect. So, if you're interested in learning more about the coverages, the route concepts, kind of the things that you can't really see on Sunday because it's either glossed over or just not enough time for the coaches or the announcers to get into it. That's really what my channel is all about, and just learning together and getting more of a deeper knowledge on a Tua or just any player, whoever the player is that week. But if you do want to learn more about why Tua struggled with these concepts or where he was good, what he was good at, what he's improving at, where he needs to get better, that episode and all the episodes that I do really focus on really the why. So come check me out if you're looking to learn more about football.
Thank you, Alex. Yo, we got to do this again sometime.
Sure, man. Sure.
Especially as the season progresses and we get to see what we actually get from Tua this year. It'll be because I know if he does take a leap, I know you'll be making a video about it. So
100%.
We're going to have to talk about that too. So, man, again, I appreciate you for coming on and taking some time out, man. Always love talking pigskin with knowledgeable people like yourself. And guys, make sure you go check him out, Alex Rollins NFL. There's not enough good things I can say about him. He does a great job over there. Been watching him for quite some time. So when he said he was willing to come on here, absolute honor and blessing to have you on here, man. Really appreciate you, Alex. And I'm sure we'll talk very soon, brother.
Appreciate the kind words, man. Appreciate it. Looking forward.
Have a good night, my friend. We'll talk.
You too.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, that was Alex Rollins. Make sure you go check him out. Just in YouTube, search Alex Rollins NFL. I'm going to have him on at some point, hopefully when the season gets rolling and we see what we get from Tua this year, just so we can look back on his video and such. Now, what's happening is I'm going to go into some news that I got for some of y'all, and then I'm going to open it up for you guys. We can come on, and then tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip out the portion of just the interview and I'll repost it for those that happen to miss it. So y'all already know what time it is, man. Appreciate each and every one of you coming through right now. Obviously, if you'd like to donate to the channel, paypal.me/Phinside. You can also donate through the super chat. Become a Patreon, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. If you look below me, right next to subscribe, there's a join button. If you see these people with the emojis, with the badges next to their name, go hit that join button and you can become a Phinside the NFL YouTube member. But yeah, let's go over some stuff that transpired today. There was some news and there's a couple articles I want to go over with you guys, and then I'll open it up to all of you guys and let you come on here and we'll talk about some stuff that Alex talked about, and we'll talk some Miami Dolphins football. And just remember, tomorrow night, TD Fins Talk will be here, Mr. Ballgame will be here, and EM Dolphin Fan will be here, though he might be a little bit later than the rest because he has a pretty long day at work tomorrow. So he will be coming tomorrow, though. So, all right, guys. So let's get into a few things here that I want to talk about because your boy has access now to the Athletc. But before we go to the Athletc, let's do a little housekeeping here. Adam Beasley reported today that the Dolphins are indeed hosting the Atlanta Falcons for joint practices ahead of the August 21st preseason game. Traditionally, there have been 2 days of work and then a day off before the game, which means August 18th to 19th at the team's new training facility. And so there you go. We are having joint practices this year. We are going to get to see Kyle Pitts straight up one-on-one with no Julio Jones when they practice together in the joint practice. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that rolls. Yeah, I might hit up Doug Redcom and see if he wants to come on too. and we can have a little panel discussion. I'll hit up Doug tonight. I'll text him and see. Actually, you know what? I'll text Doug right now, and I'll see if he's down to come on tomorrow night. And we can have a little panel discussion if he's around. Where are you, Doug? Lady Run, Doug. There you go. There you go. We'll just ask him if he's around tomorrow night at all. We'll see if Doug Lee is around to come on tomorrow. We'll get him on if he's available. And you know it's going to be a show you ain't going to want to miss. So, yeah, Adam Beasley, Atlanta Falcons, join practice tomorrow night. All right. So, another thing I wanted to show you guys. This is probably one of the greatest videos going on right now. If you guys didn't see Christian Wilkins' media availability, you need to see it and go watch it. So this is what happened, guys.
Question. So Christian,
and if you didn't know, that's the voice of Armando Salguero. So one more time.
Well, fortunately, I've got the first question. So Christian.
Oh, Armando, you just got done dirty, man. Doug did just message me back. Let me make some. All right. So, yeah, Doug hit me back. So I'll if you see me texting, that's who you see me texting. So, you got to love Christian Wilkins for letting Armando know how not only he feels, but the rest of us Dolphin fan feel about Armando Salguero. So let's go into a few things today. You guys know I always like going over these Barry Jackson articles. So there's some key things in here. So it says, for months, we've all heard the comparison. Miami Dolphins rookie receiver Jalen Waddle is another Tyreek Hill, the speedy Kansas City Pro Bowl receiver. It's a comparison that's flattering to Waddle, but obviously premature considering Hill's NFL achievements. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler and 3-time first-team All-Pro. A Google search this week produced 53,600 entries in which the words Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill appear on the same piece. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, that's what this guy is. Former Washington and Houston general manager Charlie Casserly said on NFL Network, he's going to run by everybody. He can be your Tyreek Hill, stretch the field type of player. Matt Miller said. Okay. He said, Waddle is the closest thing to Tyreek Hill we have seen since the Kansas City superstar entered the league, Pro Football Focus said. Waddle has, and I quote, lightning quick, game-changing Tyreek Hill quickness in space, Kirk Herbstreit said. So what does Waddle think to this comparison to an all-pro? Yeah, I get a lot of comparisons to Tyreek just because of my small size and being able to be a runner. He says, but I want to be my own player and try to play the game that I play, try to do my own style, not try to emulate someone else's style. It's obviously impossible to know if Waddle will become as impactful as Hill. And the comparison of the college careers doesn't make the projection any easier because, you know, here's the thing is Hill only played 1 year of major college football at Oklahoma State before being dismissed after a domestic violence arrest and transferring to West Alabama, where he was mainly a running back. And it talks about here 534 yards rushing on 5.2 yards per carry and 31 catches for a 9.1 per reception in 12 games. But his return stats during his one FBS season suggested something special. A 24.7 average and 2 touchdowns on 30 kick returns and a 9.5 average and 1 touchdown on 27 punt returns. He then had 2 more touchdown returns on punts and 2 more touchdown returns on kickoffs on just 20 punt returns and 20 kickoff returns at West Alabama. Waddle, by contrast, averaged 23.8 yards with 1 touchdown and just 9 career kickoff returns and averaged a ridiculous 19.3 yards with 2 touchdowns on 38 punt returns. Far better than Hill's numbers at Oklahoma. Obviously, Waddle's college reception numbers were better than Hill's because he had more time at receiver than Hill did. But It's all about Hill's NFL numbers, and they're ridiculous, when you actually break them down. So it goes on to say Kirk Herbstreit does see one difference. I think he has more versatility than Tyreek Hill. Nothing noting Waddle is better equipped to play on the boundary than Hill, which I agree with. I've told you this before. His ability in contested catches, like I showed in my evaluation, is clearly there. Bottom line, if Waddle is 85% of the player Hill turned out to be, the Dolphins should be pleased. ESPN's Desmond Howard had the best line sizing up Waddle, noting he has that get-out-of-jail-free card type of athleticism. And Howard explained it this way. Seems like guys have him cornered and he just escapes. Jet sweeps, reverses. He's such a threat on everything. You can line him out wide too. He runs very good routes and has excellent hands. So this is where I talk about his understanding of angles and pursuit angles. When you watch him on tape, it constantly pops up. Jalen Waddle is very angle savvy. He's a very high aptitude, smart player. I might even say, coming out of college at least, he's way more refined in that aspect than Tyreek Hill is. I should say. So when he came out of West Alabama, Tyreek Hill. Waddle's understanding of angles and open space and just angles on the football field is elite. I've said this in my evaluation about him. I'll say it again. You can't teach that. You either have it or you don't. It's that vision he has in the open field that helps him be special. I mean, I've said this before, right? The way I try to tell people is Waddle doesn't make people miss. He strategizes once the ball's in his hands on how you're going to miss. So big difference. You know what I mean? He can make you miss, but he has a strategy of how you're going to miss. And he's a very, very smart player, man. So I do think he is going to I think he's going to succeed at the next level, man. I really do. Football, I mean, he's my wide receiver 1 for a reason, right? Football Outsiders did a study on passes that should have been intercepted in 2020 and weren't. The analysts determined that Tua Tagovailoa threw 5 interceptions, also threw 8 other potential interceptions that were dropped. Those who threw more drop potential interceptions were Ben Roethlisberger, Kyler Murray, Nick Foles, and Sam Darnold. Besides Tagovailoa, a few other quarterbacks had 8 potential interceptions: Matt Ryan, Lamar Jackson, and Drew Brees. And all those quarterbacks did throw more passes than Tua Tagovailoa. So they tried to factor in that he was lucky or whatever, but I don't play about it. You got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. Oregon safety Javon Holland said it means a lot that he's the highest drafted player from Canada in NFL history. Shout out to you, Javon. I love to be able to represent the Canadian people, he said, and for me to be blessed to be in this position and represent that many people and be the highest taken. I'm honored to be here. I'm overjoyed. Now, that might go away next year because John Mechie is up, and if John Mechie declares, he'll probably go in the first. It goes on here to talk about a couple other things here. Besides having the second longest arms in the draft, offensive tackle Larnell Coleman also had an 85-inch wingspan, which he said he uses to his advantage. You will definitely see it in my pass blocking game. I've got to use my arms to keep defenders off my quarterback. You're definitely going to see me use it in those situations. Being a UMass guy, I'm a really underrated guy. I think all my athleticism from my prior sports, including basketball, is really going to help me shine. I loved basketball since I was a kid. Defensive basketball is the same as playing offensive line or at least playing tackle. I feel like a lot of the athleticism is definitely going to translate to the field, and it has been. I think, as you can see on my film, I'm real athletic, so I can just do about everything. So hopefully Larnell Coleman, he does work out the way he's talking about it. Another thing, guys, so it looks like Doug Lee is down to come on tomorrow, so I'm just confirming with him. Okay. Start. Just confirming. So yeah, Doug Lee will be on now too, so we'll add that to the cast of characters coming on tomorrow night. But yeah, with Larnell Coleman, I'm actually not doing a prospect preview on him just because offensive line kind of unless you're like Penei Sewell and you're super fun to watch. But I will be doing Jared Dokes this week. All right, guys. So my prospect preview series will conclude this week with Jared Dokes. Then if you're a member or if you're a Patreon, if you're a member, under the community tab, go ahead and vote which film study you want me to do next. If you're a Patreon, go to the Patreon page. You can vote on both, I think, because most of you are members as well, and you can vote on which one to come next. Remember, there's Xavier Howard's 10 interception season, Raekwon Davis's rookie season, which I know is leading in the community tab on YouTube. And then the last one is, what is the last one? The last one is, I'm trying to think here. The last one is, why Robert Hunt is better suited to being kicked into guard. So those are 3 film studies. I might do all 3, but just go in the order of the way they're voted. So, but those film studies will be coming on top of all this. For the members and the patrons, I'm still working out, and I'm actually going to be posing the question to you guys. I'm going to give you options of what videos you patrons and you members want to see specifically for you, where it'll be members only and it will be Patreon only videos that you guys will share between each other. I got a couple ideas I'm working on, so I'll be posing those questions just like I'm posing the film study question. Again, if you want to join the Patreon, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. That is how you can become a mod on this channel, unless you are a special exception. And then if you want to use those cool emojis or have a badge next to your name, go ahead and join the other 89 members of the Phinside the NFL YouTube page. Just there's a link below in the description, or you can go ahead and click the join button and it'll take you right there to the landing page to join. So let's get into the next article, because your boy, he's got access to the Athletc now. So Josh Tolentino dropped a pretty interesting article about Tua that I wanted to go over with you guys. After we do this, I'm going to open it up to you guys and let you come on and give your thoughts on what you think of what Alex said and what we're showing you here, right? So let's get into Josh Tolentino's, because it's a pretty good article here. So it's called "The Dolphins Tua Tagovailoa Wants a Process to Help Him Succeed as He Begins Year 2." At some point during the offseason, Tagovailoa whipped out his phone and started a group text message thread with several of his wide receivers. The quarterback's message was straightforward: "We'll just meet up and start throwing." Dolphins wide receiver Devontae Parker recalled the Tagovailoa's message. "Try to get the rhythm down early." Tagovailoa, preparing for his second season, has been surrounded by more firepower at wideout, headlined by the team's offseason acquisitions of Will Fuller and top draft pick Jalen Waddle. Workout sessions will liven up next week when the Dolphins gather for mandatory minicamp, which again, guys, that'll be June 15th to June 18th. Every day I will do a minicamp update for you guys. Allowing for better understanding of the offense constructed by new co-offensive coordinators George Godsey and Eric Stoodsville. The coaching staff hopes Fuller and Waddle's combination of speed and agility will force defenses to make tough decisions. The goal is to improve a unit that finished 22nd in the league with 339 total yards per game and 20th with 233.5 passing yards per game. "I think anytime you can stretch the field vertically, it puts defense in a bind," Godsey said. "I have some experience with Will, and we're catching Jalen up to the speed of NFL football, so that's been the fun part of this. They have a little bit of different skill sets, although they both have very good speed. That'll help us pushing the ball downfield. They're also good route runners underneath. Being able to add all of those elements are important to both of those players." Tagovailoa finished his rookie year with a 6-3 record. He had some nice moments, including a comeback victory against Arizona, in which he finished with a season best 122.3 quarterback rating. But he also benched twice in favor of Fitzpatrick. With Fitzpatrick now in Washington and Jacoby Brissett, the new backup, Tagovailoa is the unquestioned starter. Meanwhile, Parker is also hoping for a bounce-back season after leading all AFC wide receivers in 2019 with 1,202 receiving yards and 9 touchdown catches. Parker finished with 793 yards and just 4 touchdowns last season after missing 2 games with an injury. Parker, Lynn Bowden, Albert Wilson, and Jakeem Grant are among several of the wideouts who've trained with Tua Tagovailoa over the past few months. Parker has noticed Tagovailoa's mechanics look different, and the quarterback has prioritized improving his footwork and getting the ball out quicker. During OTAs over the past few weeks, Tagovailoa has thrown the ball with more zip albeit in a relaxed practice setting. It just comes down to getting a lot of reps with him and just taking it to the game, Parker said. That's all it comes down to. After Tagovailoa recently acknowledged he didn't actually know the playbook necessarily really, really good, last season Dolphins coach Brian Flores said he understood the quarterback's stance and is confident he can move forward. Honestly, I just think he's comparing last year to where he is right now, and I get it, Flores said. I understand that. I remember being a first-year position coach and coming out of that year, going into the spring, going to the next season, saying I would have been better last year. He's thinking about where he is right now versus that time a year ago, just reflecting. This time is about reflection and where you are right now versus where you were 6 months ago. I think he's worked hard to improve in a lot of areas, and he's communicated that out. In addition to setting aside extra time to work out with receivers, Tagovailoa also trained locally at Perform with co-owner Nick Hicks, who emphasized footwork drills and getting out of the pocket. Tagovailoa also built a gym inside of the garage of his home in Davie, Florida, where he lifted and trained regularly under Hicks' guidance. I didn't know that. That's a good little tidbit. I'd say I'm working to improve in every aspect in the line of scrimmage, getting the order of operation down, my cadence, pre-snap reads, my post-snap reads, Tagovailoa said last month. Just the whole shebang with that. I felt I wasn't comfortable during my rookie year, so I'm just working on a lot of those things in year 2 to be better. Although the team is beginning a more formal practice structure with OTAs finished and minicamp starting, Tagovailoa will likely continue the group chat. He started with his receivers. From everything his teammates and coaches have said about year 2 Tua, he's been meticulous about his training regimen and wants to build chemistry with everyone around him. I would say he wants a process, Flores said. He's trying to put together a process for how he studies, how he eats, how he trains, really kind of everything. I've seen that. So from a scheduling process, routine, and system standpoint, he's got a system in place, or he's putting together systems that he thinks will help him, whether it's training, meeting, fundamentals, throwing mechanics. I've seen that for sure. So I thought that was interesting because, he's even gone as far as putting a gym in his own house. And remember what Nick Hicks said on the Miami on the Rocks podcast. This was a guy who didn't even really work out a lot during his time at Alabama. He wasn't busting his hump like how he is now. And this is where I kind of part ways a little bit with what Alex Rollins said. I do think that leap we're hoping Tua takes in year 2 is on the table. I don't think it's very far-fetched to think about when you see how hard he's working. I mean, Tua has taken on the moniker of hardest worker in the room. And I really do not think it's far-fetched that he does take this leap. I mean, he's going to have his rhythm down. He's going to have his timing down. His body seems far more ready than it was last year. Mentally, with how he's talking about how he's more comfortable with the playbook right now than he was last year, he's clearly in a better place mentally than he was last year too. So I totally think he can take that leap that we all hope he takes this year, and I know Brian Flores hopes he takes it too. I really do not think it is that far-fetched that Tua Tagovailoa takes the leap, especially when you look at the weapons around him. Really one of the key factors is going to come down to is if the offensive line gives him the time and gives him the protection, I do not see why Tua is not going to take that leap. All right, that's personally just how I feel about the situation. I do think that leap is coming. Now, how big? That is what people are debating right now. So, as long as the protection holds up, I think he's going to be good. So, I've dropped the link. All of you guys who watched the Alex Rollins interview, go ahead, jump in, give your thoughts. You want to talk about what we were just talking about with Josh Tolentino? Go ahead, give your thoughts. So I just want to hear what's on people's minds, especially especially with with the joint practice of the Atlanta Falcons. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. And yeah, just confirming here with Doug. Figure out whether we're going to start at 8:30 or 9 o'clock tomorrow. So yeah, I just want to get your guys' thoughts on this, especially with what Alex said, because I know he made a lot of good points. Went more in depth about the offense that we ran last year. So what's going on, Martin, Florida born, Joshua, Red Comet? How you boys doing tonight?
What's going on? What's going on?
What's
What's up,
up?
fellas? What's
Doing
up, man?
well. Yeah, I don't know. When it came to some of the points, I kind of disagree with some of them, like Tua not being, that well at utilizing, players like Fuller and whatnot in a deep game. Yeah, when you look at last year, you can't really use that as a standard because, like we, said numerous times, he wasn't at his, peak physical condition, So, of course, he didn't display that as well as he did at Alabama. But when you have to go back and look at Alabama to see how
Well, he
he was
nailed
able to
Jakeem
do that.
Grant. He nailed Jakeem Grant in stride 50
Man.
yards.
Yes,
on
but
the
at
field.
Alabama, that was one of his,
Strengths.
that was,
Oh yeah.
that was one of his biggest strengths of being
Yeah,
able
man.
to
Isn't
throw
that
a
what-
ball accurately 50,
Well,
40 yards.
we've talked about that, right? Like
Mhm.
the amazing thing not enough people give him credit for is he could hit Devontae Smith 45, 50 yards down the field, but then turn around and hit Waddle or Ruggs, guys who are way faster than Devontae Smith, and he could hit them 45, 50 yards down the field in stride. Like he could show the ability to even change between speeds. Like the ball's got to be quicker if you're running a 4.2 compared to if you're running a 4.45.
Exactly.
That's facts. That's
Exactly.
and reason that aspect of a quarterback right there is more of an art than it is something that can be taught, because you're talking about keeping your eye on a target while at the same time feeling out what's going on around you in the pocket, and then anticipating a certain window to get the ball into, and then it's just simultaneously hitting a guy in stride, just measuring his speed comparable to the defender that's guarding him. To display that at Alabama almost seamlessly. So yeah, with this new body and
Man.
healed up hip, it's about to get real, man. It's about to get real.
I think we're gonna see the deepest throws we've ever seen Tua throw with these big guns he's coming in with, bro.
For sure.
It's B.O.B., man. Bounce over Baghdad, bro. It's gonna happen.
And they coming out like lasers.
Oh yeah.
Pew, pew.
I think the thing with it too is a lot of people don't realize with this year, Tua is one of the most receiver friendly quarterbacks out there because he's not gonna put you in a position where you're gonna get hurt.
Right.
You look at Will
Right.
Fuller and Waddle and Wilson; these guys, can create that separation, and Tua's gonna hit them in stride to where they don't have to worry about a safety coming down and cleaning their clock out or stuff like that. Now, last year he was kind of off on certain throws, but that's because he didn't have his body in the right way, where he needed to be. But this year you're gonna see the elite placement consistently. That's what we're gonna see. So I think a lot of people don't give Tua credit for that.
I do, and we all have to sooner or later, man. The reality is, and I mentioned that in the comment earlier while you were talking with Alex Reason, I truly believe we witnessed Herbert's ceiling and Tua's floor, and what I mean by that is when he's not comfortable physically with his hip or even mentally with the playbook, like not having full knowledge and grasp of the entire playbook, when you're that uncomfortable and you're still shelling off 64% completion and your interception touchdown ratio is still 2-1, it's like, you know what, man, who knows what's gonna happen this year? And the only thing I can only see anything hindering Tua this season is just if the dual OCs just bump heads for whatever reason, which I highly doubt will happen,
or injuries,
or the O line,
or injuries, or if anything goes like awry or simultaneously happens like that, that's the only way I can see Tua not exceeding everybody's expectations. Because like how you mentioned just before we got on, Tua is working on this, he's working on that, he's working on that. So if he's becoming the hardest worker and he's having this chip on his shoulder of the doubt in the media, and obviously Wilkins rolling his eyes with Armando because he talked about anonymous players telling him that they ain't believe in Tua. I'm telling you right now, bro, Tua with the chip on his shoulder is the reason why Charlie Fry was brought in.
Yeah,
he needs to bring back out that Elite 11 Tua that went back home, worked on everything in his game, and came back as clearly the number one quarterback in the country. So I'm still shaking my head like I can't believe people are doubting this kid.
Yeah, I think it's just the whole situation is being overblown about people saying it's concerning that he didn't know the playbook and stuff like this. I mean, guys, are we seriously think that Brian Flores and Greer, don't see the full scope of the situation? If that was going to be a huge issue, then they could have just drafted a quarterback this year. That's all they would have to do.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that because they know what they have in Tua. Like, I think this whole situation of is Tua going to take the leap, or how much better is he going to get, or is the, rookie season struggles he had this year going to, linger down his career and hinder his development? I think that whole thing is just blown out of proportion. I mean, I don't know.
Agree.
Tyler got the do-rag on because she's coming to check for
I was
it.
about to say
She's ready.
she about to go gangsta on it, bro. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, what's on your mind, Tyler? Go.
This whole playbook BS, like, oh my gosh. I really think he knew the playbook. The thing, when he says didn't know it really, really well, I really think he's talking about audibles and checks and alerts. That's what I really think he means.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know the deep, in-depth of what the playbook needs him to do. Because he said, if you listen closely, he said he didn't have checks or alerts. So it was very simple. He couldn't check. Because he said even though he knew a play wasn't going to work, so he knew the playbook.
Yeah.
Yep.
He just couldn't check out of it. So when people, and Ryan Clark's such a biased, oh my God.
He an LSU guy. This was his opportunity to bury Alabama, and that's exactly what he did.
I mean, he showed his bias. You ain't smart either. What?
He shot his shot. LSU shot his shot.
Yo, Reese, but
and then after he said that, Herbert came right on now and said, "Oh, I still got to master the playbook. I really didn't master the playbook." Like, okay, so is he dumb too?
This is the thing, though.
4.0 college student.
Like, it's like, man, like this, like just give. So I think people was making that. Even Coach Flores basically paraphrasing. He basically said, "Y'all made a big deal out of nothing," because that just rolled off his shoulder. Like it's last year, so people still trying to harp on it. If he just needed a chance to work on his body, work on his craft, which he wasn't able to do last season. If they really wasn't sure about Tua, like y'all said, they could have drafted a quarterback this year.
Yes,
they
at
did.
3. At 3,
this
not
is the thing,
at 6.
though. Okay, so y'all saw when Kurt Warner was like, "I'm not sure what this concept is."
Yes.
If Kurt Warner, a Hall of Fame quarterback, is out here saying, "I'm not sure what this concept is,"
you
how
had
do we
Tony
expect Tua to understand that playbook, guys?
That's actually a really good point.
You had Tony Romo.
Man.
You had
I'm
Tony
sorry.
Romo on national television saying, "I don't know what the fuck this play is."
And that's the guy who calls out plays before they happen.
You had Tony
True.
Romo. You had Tony Romo on national television saying, "These wide receiver spacing is trash."
Hey, but did you
Saying
guys
I
notice
have no
when
clue
Tony
what they're
Romo?
running.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Hey,
What's up?
did you guys? Hey, what's up? Did you guys hear when Tony Romo was talking about Tua from empty sets, that he could see everything clearly, like when everything is spread out and he has like these 10-man personnel, like these 3-4 wide receiver sets and shit. Like when he sees everything so spread out, he could basically see everything that's going on.
He
Like
didn't talking about, Tua don't know what to do. He ain't changed.
Yeah. No, I mean,
and don't get it twisted. Tua in an empty set can happen on an every down basis this year, just based off of all the weapons he has at his disposal. So if the idea is, wait a minute, looking back at that 2020 rookie film, dog, Tua was actually really good in empty. Oh, he can run a no huddle offense. Wait a minute.
Martin,
let's get this guy, and let's create that playbook,
Martin, he was 35. Martin, he was 35 out of 44. He had 311 yards and 1 touchdown. he was one of the top 10 quarterbacks running the no huddle offense, bro. And he only ran 60
And this is
60
why
no huddle plays.
Shout out to
That's
Chan
why
Gailey.
Chan
You don't
Gailey
believe in
needed
that
to go.
There you
Shout
go.
out to Chan Gailey.
I mean, it's just the facts, bro. The numbers are there.
He was 37 of 53, 69.8 completion percentage, 409 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions and no huddle.
he had
Wow.
over 60 completion
Look
percentage
at that,
in
bro.
every plays that was ran except for the
Under
one that
center.
except under center.
And he was being held back like a pit bull in the dog park, bro. Like
And
that's how you know
No
that's how you know, man. With these new coaches, they're literally about to create this magic, bro. Like if they get it right, two about to go off. Two about to go off. The whole offense.
And
this is why I say
and
on Chan Gailey's head so much. It's because you saw what worked, but because you had a love fest for Fitzpatrick, you didn't want to do it, and that's why it comes across so unprofessional to me. Because
That's
Klump
the only
left
excuse.
his ass in the retirement home with his green Jello, bro.
in South Florida, right?
And this is where I also agree with Klump. This is where I agree with Klump when he said that
Oh my God.
Brian Flores deserves some of the blame in creating this narrative too, and I think that as well. He did create this narrative by benching Tua twice. Now, Denver game, I can understand.
Agreed.
He was getting killed. He was. The offensive line was worthless that game. They were. Raiders game, they were only down by 3 points.
Yeah, they panicked.
Yeah.
They panicked.
I blame that on Brian. Yeah.
Tua was 17.
That's hard though, guys.
Tua was 17 of 22.
Well, the thing I love about
Playoffs.
He wasn't playing that bad.
Hold on. Let Soren make a point here. Let's go ahead, Soren.
I just think that obviously I don't agree with. Well, the thing about Brian Flores is like he's trying to win. He's doing everything he can to win. And so
Agreed.
like I just feel like it wasn't a knock on Tua or anything. It was just a situation of like we just need to win this game really quick. So throw in Fitz to try and get a spark, because if we lost that game, we weren't making the playoffs that year.
I get that.
That's fair. That's fair.
If you was all about renting and you knew, and I feel like they knew Tua wasn't really where he was supposed to be at health-wise.
I agree.
If you was really all about winning, you should have played Fitz the entire season.
Play Fitz until he just benches himself. You know,
I think Flo wanted to do that.
Maybe they thought the tragedy was coming early.
Step in with Gailey if you wanted that up-tempo offense and you saw how it was working up-tempo.
Yeah.
Step in with Gailey and say, listen, brother, either you do it or you're out of here, and God is going to step up and he's going to do it.
And I said that too. I said
That's
should have gotten chance ass.
Right.
Yes.
I'm playing
Brian Flores got too much respect for his elders. That's why he didn't.
Look here, but that's something I don't understand. I mean, first of all, you're the head coach.
Yeah.
Your offensive coordinator is supposed to go according to what the head coach wants. If the head coach wants, and he sees with his eyes that Tua's best strength is running the no huddle offense, and he knows he's a rhythmic quarterback who is an anticipatory thrower. You know, why didn't you run the no huddle, especially when you're in the fourth quarter? And Tua is the best. He has 2 fourth quarter comebacks in at that point 8 games. He has the best QBR rating, passer rating. I mean, he has no. You know, what has he thrown? Like 1 interception, 7 total touchdowns in that stretch. Like, why didn't you run that no huddle offense? Especially that's his greatest strength in that moment of the game. I just don't understand. I understand Tua's a rookie. I understand rookies are prone to make mistakes. They get pressured easily. I get that, but Tua is used to playing in this high pressure situation. He was bred in that. You know, he was molded in that situation. In Alabama, every game was a high pressure situation.
Like I said,
You know what I'm saying?
there's a reason Kansas City didn't want to give him the ball back.
Yes, and that's the game. That's the game. Flo should have went to Gailey, and after he seen how Tua took that high pressure situation against the Super Bowl champs and ran that hurry up offense to perfection, he should have went to Gailey, like Reason said, and been like, "Bro, we're gonna play to our quarterback's strength. I know you want Fitz, but it ain't happening. This is our guy. Either get with the program or go back to the retirement home."
Mm-hmm.
I put it up for you guys. There is to quarter by quarter the analytics. I mean, you're talking about a guy right now who, I mean, in the fourth quarter, 50 of 65, 76.9%, 478 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Wow.
In the fourth quarter, Tua has the second highest completion percentage behind only Drew Brees last year.
Come on now.
At 60%.
Right.
Man.
Yep.
And here's my thing.
And he played.
If his floor is a 64.1 completion percent, almost 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions.
With a bunch of shitty weapons.
Man, that's why he's at the strip club right now, bro. He ain't worried about it. He out there on South Beach like, man, let me just enjoy this real quick.
Girl, you gonna see me on ESPN.
He said just like that too.
His face really looked like, damn, I really ain't supposed to be out here. Like, I'm pissed y'all took a picture of me, but
I think he was with his cousins, to be honest.
But then he did the whole Hawaiian surfer thing.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, what up?
I got this. Tua probably was a big ass player at Alabama, bro.
Probably was.
I'm sitting there watching that, and I'm going Terrell Owens like, that's my quarterback, baby.
hey, bottom lip shaking. That's my quarterback.
Yeah, bro. That's my quarterback. Get it in, boy. Go. Get it in.
I mean, look, if his floor is them stats, then I ain't worried. Tua's gonna be all right. Whatever.
Of course, yeah. We believe it too. We believe it too.
And that was over.
It's just a matter of time.
Let's be honest. He's in Miami. You know, when it comes to the white, I'd prefer him being with a white girl than the white on the street. You know, like Cubano white. So
you're right.
I'm fine. Do your thing, young
bro.
kid.
No drugs.
I said people gonna blow that up.
You got that jungle fever, buddy.
Make it to something. It's really not a big deal. I said, dude, probably been doing nothing but lifting, studying. Like, get a kid a break, man.
I know. Yeah, let him enjoy himself a little bit.
Yeah, he's a good kid, bro. I like him, man.
That's what I love, dude. Like, he seems like I love that I have a quarterback that I would love to have a beer with, bro. Like, he seems like a guy you would have a fun time with.
At the end of the day, he's 23 years old still.
Yeah.
So it's like,
man,
you know he wants to
experience
better. It's not like he ain't out here working his ass off. He know what he has to do.
Well, and let's also know
he still got to have fun.
He's having a good time because ain't no one touching him with all. He's probably got an offensive line worth of Samoans with him there too, right?
That's what I said, bro. He's probably out there with his cousins, bro.
Yeah, like
squad up.
Yeah,
I'm really I mean, this is really what I'm looking forward to. I want to see what the offense is going to be like, because I also agree with Clump said too. I ain't so much as worried about Tua. It's the plays.
The play caller,
yeah.
That's what.
So that's gonna be my question. So what? Stootsville is gonna be calling the plays, or that's not set in stone yet?
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Godsey.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
gotta be.
I think it'll eventually be Godsey, but I believe Stootsville will get like the first set of games.
We always go back to what he said, right? He said if Chan Gailey sipped that NyQuil and was out for too many games, then it was gonna be Stootsville that was running it. But then Stootsville was healthy for that game Robbie Brown missed in Arizona, but Godsey was the one calling it.
Yeah,
I would.
Godsey has more experience.
I would personally Godsey because I like the way he called the game in Arizona.
Right,
really
he was the one sitting with Tua every game after the fact, saying like, you know what I mean. So I think he has a better understanding of a Tua. Just quickly, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Will Fuller out there today on the field rocking the 3. catching them from Tua.
Man, I can't wait.
He looks good,
Nah, that
bro.
looks like
Oh
that's
my
Tua.
god, I can't wait.
Tua in the back.
Let's see the speed though. All right, good
Right in the sweet
recovery.
spot.
Good recovery.
Inside.
You know what I mean?
Right in the bread basket.
There it is. Hit him in the 3, Tua.
Hit
So
him in the
Got that
3,
Mi-
2.
He's got that Miami swagger already, bro, going on, bro.
Was that Tua throwing it?
He
Or
got that
Jacoby?
South Florida
I couldn't
swagger
tell.
already,
it
bro.
was Tua.
I would rather have Godsey call the plays first, just to see if because that chemistry still got to be there as far as him knowing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I don't understand
Go
with what everything we've said. You know, the Arizona game, the chemistry, and he has the most experience as an offensive coordinator. I just wouldn't see why it would be Stootsville.
But in the perfect world, it would be Godsey as the OC, and Tua's main target needs to be Preston Williams, just based off of what we saw in Tua's best game, in my opinion, which was against Arizona. It should start off that way, but I don't think it will.
Yeah.
But this is where we part ways on that, because even though, yes, the chemistry was getting built between Preston and Tua very fast, Tua shouldn't just come out the gate throwing at him now.
Well, I'm just saying from what worked, and what Tua was comfortable with, including the OC, which was Godsey. If we're in a perfect world, it will be Godsey calling the plays, and plays being catered towards Preston Williams first until proven otherwise, as far as other guys that can step in and make plays for him. But I don't think it's going to be that way.
Here's the thing with Tua. Whoever open, that's who getting the ball.
True.
Yeah.
I want you to realize this too. We talk about Godsey's experience. Godsey had the 15th best passing attack in the NFL in 2015, right? I'm going to name you the quarterbacks that started. Okay, no, seriously.
I
know.
Okay, you ready for this one? TJ Yates. TJ Yates. Okay. Exactly. Brandon Whedon. Ryan Mallett. And
Not
Brian Hoyer.
I remember Brian Hoyer and Brandon Whedon.
Who are these guys?
Like literally, that's like. Does a list of jabronis get even more longer than that?
So imagine with a guy like Tua and these weapons.
Yeah, that's what I'm sitting here saying. You could have potentially a top 10 offense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because really, in that year, those guys, their only weapon was
D-Hop,
because the running back that year, who started the most games, they had Lamar, but he got hurt that year. So it was mainly Alfred Blue, if you guys remember him.
Yeah.
And then the receiver options behind Hopkins was Cecil Shorts and Nate Washington.
Yeah.
That was a team that had Vince Wilfork, JJ Watt, Brian Cushing, Bernard McKinney, Clowney, Kareem Jackson, Jonathan Joseph. They basically defense. Yeah, they were on their defense, right? But they still put up the 15th best passing attack with those players that I named starting games.
Wow.
Let me
and
look
then
it up
if the offensive line holds up really well, then I don't see how people can doubt that too.
I think they made the playoffs that year too.
That's
what I was thinking.
They did. I think they got bounced first round.
Yeah, they won the division, a 9-7, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Buddy, check this one out. They scored more points than the Andrew Luck Indianapolis Colts that year.
Wow.
That's interesting.
See, why not, man? Why not?
Are you serious, bro?
I know.
Yeah,
they're gonna battle. Godsey and Stootsville. They're gonna have to battle it out, man. They have to.
I think that's what it's gonna end up being.
It's gonna be
Godsey. One of them is going to.
Shout out to Storm Warrior.
One of them is going to want the credit of Tua's leap.
I think it'll eventually be Godsey. Yeah, but to double up on that offensive line talk, right? If we're talking about from left to right, if the projected starters is Austin Jackson, Solomon Kinley, Skura, Robert Hunt, and Liam Eichenberg, that's still super solid. That's super solid, man. And you know, whatever happened with Austin Jackson the last half of the season, as far as that decline coming off that injury, I think he's gonna jump too, man. I think he's gonna make that jump. I think Kinley should jump.
I hope.
from going back to his regular
one
position.
player I hope I'm wrong on is Austin Jackson.
Same.
Because y'all remember that stream on when I was on TV during the draft and we drafted him. And I literally, before the draft he came in, I literally said, please don't be Austin Jackson. At number 18, the Miami Dolphins select Austin Jackson. I'm like, holy fuck, here we go.
Too long
I think Fluker's going to be.
I'm really different from all y'all. I believe in DJ Fluker.
Me too. Hey, I think he's going to be a great
and why is that, Tyler?
Right. I was going to say.
What college did he go to? Huh?
That's not the reason.
I don't know.
That's not the reason. That's not
Might be.
I
think.
What are you gonna do if we got Mac Jones in week 1? Who are you rooting for?
Tua, duh.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Better not be rooting for
better one.
Macaroni Noodle Arm Jones.
Now here's the thing. I know you are low on him, but he's really not that bad. He's not. I think he better than Cam.
Ooh.
Well, I might be better.
I mean, that's not really.
That's that Iron Bowl hate. That's that Iron Bowl hate right there.
Yeah.
But he is the perfect. He is the perfect quarterback for Belichick.
But the reports are that Stidham is outballing him.
We'll see.
Yeah, because Cam hurt his hand, and apparently Mac. Maybe it's just because they got him rocking number 50, and he's like, I can't throw.
Yeah, that's a big number.
I can't throw in his number.
No, but
you guys hear about the 49ers?
I've been watching DJ Fluker with the different teams he's been on, and I feel like as a pass blocker, he can be better. But as a run block,
he's really good at
you can tell he take pride in that shit.
Yeah. Did you see on Twitter when we signed him, and like I guess I did a show, like I said, like, I don't know, like the Dolphins signed DJ Fluker, and then I had something about the offensive line, and he like responded to me, And he's he's like, excuse me, and I'm like, and Sorty came out of nowhere and was like, like he wasn't taking a shot at you, bro. He's saying they signed you, dude. Like, whoa, DJ.
DJ. I mean,
he don't play, huh?
He take it serious. He take it serious. So I feel like I feel like this offensive line will be better. I just feel it in my gut. Now, will it be where we want it to be? No, but I do think as far as like protection wise, I have a feeling in my gut that it'll be better.
It's gonna be
trouble. I want to say this, preface what I'm about to say with I'm not a sexist, but that's usually never good when you got to preface a comment with that. but how do you think he's going to feel if Robert Hunt, the man who displayed painted fingernails today, beats him out at right guard?
Oh my!
Robert Hunt had his fingernails painted.
I don't think nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody.
I think he's hanging out with Isaiah Wilson a little bit too.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's becoming a common thing now, bro.
Who thinks that's not an issue?
Yo, if I'm a defensive tackle or end, and I'm lining up across from you, and I look in to see your hand in the dirt, and I'm seeing like pink, purple, and all the colors of the rainbow on your hands, I'm coming to get that ass, bro. You better believe I'm gonna be putting you on your ass, bro.
Hey man,
it's gonna be even worse, but he put them on the ass. It's gonna be even worse.
I'm retiring. If he does that to me, I'm retiring.
I'm gonna come after that.
Ruin their
I'm gonna come
confidence
after
for the
that
whole
ass like it's
game.
Rikers prison, bro.
I mean, but it is Pride Month in Miami, man. So they doing a lot of stuff down here. So
hey man, he said it was cool. Let him live.
Yeah. I'm gonna let him live.
Hey,
I'm gonna let him live.
As long as he plays, he could look like Jane. As long as he plays like Tarzan, bro, that's all I give a shit about, bro.
Yeah.
Really.
He will. Robert Hunt is actually. And Tyler, you mentioned.
And in Pass Pro, I saw far too much Jane last year.
That's true.
Reason
Hey,
did you see that Mike did a route today, kind of.
Mike Gesicki?
Yeah.
Yeah, because no one was around him and he was half-assing it. Look at that.
Reason like that don't impress me, bro.
Gesicki, the guy you watch his zooms, he's more concerned with his hair than running routes, bro.
Freaking frost.
Sitting there playing with it like bro, I'm telling you, look at the picture of Florida Born right now with that visor, okay? That visor right now. If I see This guy, Mike Gesicki, coming out with the frost tips poking out through the visor. I'm done, bro. I'm done.
He looks like
done,
a damn. He
bro.
looks like a damn.
Hey,
He looks like a. He looks like damn
Bro.
in sync, bro.
Bro, I used to rock that look in 2001, bro.
Man,
I know me too,
Eminem.
bro.
20 years ago, bro. I better not see it.
It's gonna
Hey
be him
Tyler,
and
you listen
Durham.
to Kiss? You listen to Kiss, Tyler?
Somewhat. I just thought it was I found this shirt at Walmart and it was tie-dye too. So
I'm about to say, man.
My mom works at the BJCC when they perform there, and I guess the lead singer gave her one of his guitar picks. So,
Oh wow,
Oh man.
like the pick of destiny.
yeah, she usually she loves Kiss. She listens to Kiss. So that was good. She was getting it. But I saw Walmart. I was like, shit, it's a dope shirt. Let me get this.
Yeah, it is. I'm an Avenged Sevenfold. You know, give me some toxicity. That's all I need before the game.
I want to know what happened to your Cali
I'm
girl.
a hard.
What happened to your Cali Girl account? Did Omega fans get a hold of you, or what happened?
You see, wrestling makes me say some jacked up things. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen it.
I'm very interested in this storyline with the bloodline. Roman Reigns and the Usos. Good storyline. And Jay's been acting like a simp. You know what
Peter
I'm saying?
Maivia.
So, yeah. Represent. Anyway, Jay, him and his brother was gonna face Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic to be 7-time tag team champions, and I basically said, Jay, if you let Roman interfere in the match, your brother Jimmy should slap your bitch ass. That's exactly what I said. And
Tell me you didn't tag the Usos in this.
I did.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
that
did.
worked out well. And you got
And,
reported? Jay Uso went ahead and reported you.
Got reported, and they restricted my account for 6 days. I have 2 days and some hours to go. So I had to make a backup account, and you follow that backup account, and that's basically
Man, Twitter has
You're
to
a
stop
bad
that
girl.
censorship stuff, man.
You're a bad girl,
You're
Tyler.
getting out of hand with that.
I was like, y'all gonna restrict me for that? I mean, come on.
Yo, you know how many
Yeah, no.
you know how many wrestlers have reported and blocked JD from New York?
I
206.
hate him. Oh my god, don't talk about him. He's blocked. I don't like accounts like
Yo,
that.
whenever my wife hears his voice, she's like, turn that down. Like
I don't like people who claim to. He's one of those guys who hate watch a show. He claims he hates so much, but it's like you're gonna keep watching because if you talk about AEW all the time, is that gonna help? Is that gonna give you subscribers? No.
He's taking his fair share of shits on AEW though too.
Yeah,
In all
but it's like
fairness.
my thing is, it's like with people when I see and I block certain wrestling pages and wrestler journalists because let's be real, when it comes to the media, especially in wrestling, most of their sources are friends who are in the wrestling business. So one, they're biased. Two, they're just like some of these sports media journalists out here, shock journalists. Their only way to get attention is by trashing something. So it's like I go by my own opinions and what I see on TV. Now I haven't watched Raw since 2019.
Since Roman left.
Yes. I've only been watching SmackDown because I like their storylines better. And not only that, even Roman Reigns is champion, he's having new challenges and a new storyline with everybody plus his own family. And I think that's dope. So it's like, and don't get me wrong, Bobby Lashley as champion is good for Raw. He is a good champion. But I just don't like people like JD from New York and all these other people who just hate watch a product. They could just simply do what I do. Don't watch Raw or don't watch SmackDown. Talk about AEW.
It's because of his job and he makes money off of it. That's why.
And that's my thing. So don't claim something sucks. It's talk about something. So if it sucks, okay, cool. But can you at least explain what you would do to make it better? Can you do that? But you're not gonna do that because you need subscribers for your whack ass YouTube channel.
Well, in all fairness, he's become like one of the biggest Roman fans in the world.
Yeah,
so-
because he's heel.
which is what a lot of people wanted to see. You know what the problem was, and we'll get back to Dolphins talk in a sec, guys. You're going down the Cena path with Roman. That's what the problem was. The Superman, unbeatable, all that crap. They never got that heel turn with Cena, even though it was planned in 2010, I believe. He had new music and new ring gear, but a Mattel toy deal came through, so they kiboshed the whole heel turn. And now they got what they wanted with Roman, and Roman's doing it really well. Like, personally, I liked Roman with the Shield, but then as a face, he got stale for a while there. And it was more so how they were booking him. They were just making him unbeatable. And, like, the problem with, like, even if you go back to, like, I'm 36, right? So I've been watching wrestling back since the 80s when, Savage and Hogan, all these guys are around.
Yeah.
And the thing was, what was the whole deal with, like, when you go back to the roots of a face? The roots of a face are they always have to overcome some kind of obstacle, and that was not happening with Roman. It was just like same thing happened with Cena, just goes out and beats everyone. Like, you want to see them in the lowest of lows and then get to the highest of highs by like clawing their way out of it. That was the problem with.
Well, here's my thing with he was unbeatable. This is where we part ways with that because, in my opinion, he lost more than Cena did as a face. Got squashed by Brock at WrestleMania 34. Ever since that, I have yet to go back and watch that main event because he shouldn't have lost to me. Honestly, he shouldn't have lost when he faced him at WrestleMania 31. That's just me. To me, when people say he was unbeatable, it's like, okay, he lost to Finn Balor. I call Finn Balor Mighty Mouse. That's what I call him.
Don't be hating on Finn.
He's Mighty Mouse to me.
Don't be hating on Finn.
He lost to Finn Balor. He lost to Mighty Mouse his first night on Raw. Would John Cena lost to Finn Balor on Finn Balor's first night on the main roster?
I would hope so.
Hell no, he would not.
They booked it. They haven't booked him properly either. If you watch Finn Balor in New Japan when he's Prince Devitt, and then you watch him now, like, no wonder he went back to NXT. I would have went back to NXT too and said, "Up yours."
And my
brother.
thing is the reason why he didn't last on the main roster. He couldn't stay healthy. I mean, after he got the title, he got hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt because he was the first Universal Champion ever, right?
Yeah, it's like Roman has no issue peeing people over. Now, another thing, I didn't think his face run was that bad. Now, the promos, he's 10 times better now. But my thing is the reason why Cena didn't turn heel all those years, money talks. He was making the money.
Yeah, the Mattel deal literally kiboshed him turning heel. He's talked about it. He had like gear, he had new music. He was ready to go.
Now,
with it.
Roman wanted to turn heel years ago. But again,
money.
He making the money.
Mm-hmm.
So why fix something that ain't broke?
Yeah.
Now, he demanded, if you want me to come back, because them months that he was gone, Raw and SmackDown was horrible. He's like, you want me to come back? I want to be a heel.
Oh, are you talking about when he had cancer and stuff?
When the pandemic happened, of course he couldn't be around because, again, he just survived his second fight with leukemia, so he couldn't be around, and they had to make the place more safe. So when they went to the Thunderdome and he came back to SummerSlam, yeah, I'm glad he turned heel. Like, he's awesome.
He's actually a way better heel than he is a face, to be honest with you.
I think he could play both to me, but honestly, as a heel, I've been wanting to see
his promos are way better as a heel.
And I feel like if he does turn face, they are going to have to let him keep some elements of that in order for the face turn to work, because it's hard now, especially in WWE, to get over with fans as a face because everybody is so rebellious. All the fans want every wrestler to be an asshole.
That's because of the Attitude Era, right? Like the Attitude Era nuts that up.
What, and the thing is too, it's like it's unrealistic because in order for these storylines to work, there has to be a face. There just has to. That's another thing. Yeah. So, it's when it comes to fans, man, I really just try to enjoy it. And
Kenny Omega is the best wrestler in the world, though.
I disagree, but okay. That's fine.
Do you watch New Japan Pro Wrestling?
I watch some of it. Now, one show I will not watch, and I think you know what that is AEW. I think they full of crap. They full of crap.
You're a hater.
Full of it.
You're a hater.
No, I'm not. They full of crap.
The last pay-per-view was fantastic.
What do you guys think of that wrestler from the Pat McAfee show? The one that got in a fight with Pat McAfee. I forgot his name. I think he's from AEW.
Adam Cole, baby.
It's Adam Cole.
Adam Cole, yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
They compared.
And this is, Tyler even falls in this little thing. A lot of people hate on AEW for all the WWE wrestlers coming over. But if you look at a lot of the mainstays in WWE, a lot of them are Ring of Honor guys.
Hey, don't act like AEW don't hate on WWE now. Come on. It's two-way street.
No, but I'm just saying, I've seen people like, oh, they signed WWE guys, da-da-da-da-da. Well, look at how many are, a lot of the WWE roster and a lot of their champions over the last 10 years are ROH guys, Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I mean, no, I personally don't care because most of them I didn't have interest in anyways. But we're not going to get into all that. But yeah, all of them started from somewhere, so I ain't got no issue with that at all. Not one.
Like Andrade just came to AEW.
Yeah, I saw Andrade.
Y'all. Here's my thing. Here's my problem with WWE, bro. NXT, they can knock it out of the park with guys like Aleister Black. Comes to the main roster, and it's not even the wrestlers; it's the booking. It's so bad at times. It's like that's your problem. Like, I don't know if you know this, but one of the longest tenured writers over the last 20 years was Freddie Prinze Jr. for WWE, right? He was on the writing committee. They need to go back to wrestlers booking this stuff, not TV writers. You'll get way better storylines, man.
But my thing is, you're talking about Tommy N, aka Aleister Black.
Yeah.
He what I don't like right now is people getting on him because he's not bashing WWE on his way out. If he says
he shouldn't, I wouldn't.
But
you know how much money he probably made in those 5 years?
Not only that, but if that's his experience, if he had no problems, he had no problems. It's coming from his mouth.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? And these are, and some of these are AEW fans, and some of these are wrestler journalists who, because it doesn't fit their narrative, because he said Vince was behind him, Paul was behind him. It's just some things didn't come to fruition. So that kind of tells me that Vince has people in place for these decisions. It's not just him.
Vince needs to go, by the way.
Why?
What do you mean, why? The Grim Reaper needs to knock on his door. That guy, some of his booking is so terrible, man.
You think he's in charge of booking?
I think he gets the final call.
Yeah. Well,
so,
I mean, that's going
Triple H needs to be in charge of booking.
I wouldn't put him in charge either. Sorry.
Come on, the stuff he's been doing in NXT is phenomenal.
I know.
You're a hater.
Sorry. No.
You're a hater.
Oh.
Kevin Miles says, when do first cuts have to be made by? June 1st. You could have cut before June 1st. So, but they have to be done. They have to be done by this date. It's going to be after the third preseason game. You have to have your roster cut down to at least 53, but it's going to go in groupings. So what's going on, Crypto? What's going on? I believe that's Will Slater. What's going on, boys? How you doing tonight?
What wide receivers making the team?
So this is my wide receivers I have making the team. I'm carrying 7. I'm going, and if that means Durham Smythe's out the door, good riddance. I'm carrying DVP, Preston's on the bubble. Okay. Fuller, Waddle, Lynn Bowden Jr., Albert Wilson, and Kirk Merritt or Matt Collins.
I gotta go with Merritt.
I think it's gonna be Mac Hollins because of his special
Yeah,
teams.
because it's special
ability,
teams.
bro.
Yeah.
He's a great gunner.
Yeah,
We've been talking about that. Like we've been talking about this, and I mean I understand it's a slow part of the off season, so it's not really a whole lot more in the way of compelling Dolphins topics. But as far as that last receiver spot goes, man, I know Merritt didn't do anything in a professional NFL game yet, but the kid's talent is just off the charts. I know what Mac Hollins is, and I know that he's a great special teams guy. I know that he's a great gunner, but like you can't teach somebody else on the roster to do that. Like you can't. You know what I mean? Like Merritt, if somebody gets hurt, I really feel like Merritt could go in there, and he's got like Terrell Owens type physical ability. His physical talent is freakish. It's ridiculous. I want to see what the kid can do. I want to see him on the roster really badly.
What's crazy is I see so much potential in Mac Hollins. I don't know why it ain't come to fruition yet. I see the potential.
Not according to Klump.
Yeah, but hey Jeremy, if you're watching, I got questions about your receiving, your ability to scout receivers, bro. Because you and that not so smart guy sat there on Twitter bashing Jalen Waddle. How did that work out? And then I don't get the Albert Wilson hate. I think Albert Wilson is going to be perfect for this offense.
He's
man.
phenomenal, bro.
Now, I do agree with Klump because, as you guys know, before they didn't hire Eric Bieniemy and they hired that jabroni white dude this year, I was in Eagles were my second team, going back to Don McNabb, right? So I saw Mac Hollins firsthand, and he was trash. As long as he was a Philadelphia, he was not very good at all. But yeah, I don't get the Waddle and the Wilson kind of hate. So
Waddle's special, bro. Waddle is special, bro. I've seen his tape over and over. He's special, bro.
Yeah, I gotta ask you, Tyler, what's with some of these Alabama fans falling so in love with Devontae Smith that they were hating on Jalen Waddle?
Oh well, I think it's because
those fans are just
they were kind of like downplaying. I think it's because a lot of the things that was coming out about Devontae Smith, which I understand. Devontae Smith proved a bunch of things on the field. Now NFL is different, but you have some friends who are, especially Alabama fans, like they try to ride for everybody, but if they see one getting more hate than the other, then it's gonna look a little bit weird. But again, I do believe like if Waddle didn't get hurt, then it was gonna be a race for who won the Heisman that year between Waddle and Smith. And Waddle probably would have got the upper hand because he can do more.
Wasn't he like 100 more yards than him
before he got injured?
Yeah, before he got injured, yeah.
Yeah, he had about 100. He had just under 100 more, like 90 something yards, same amount of touchdowns on like 12 less receptions or 13 less receptions. Or
and that's not
like
to say, and that's not to say, like, of course, Smith ain't no slouch either, but Waddle being able to perform so good on special teams does give him the upper hand over Devontae Smith. Now, Devontae Smith did do some special teams stuff last year. He showed he was somewhat.
He had a punt return for a touchdown against Arkansas.
Exactly.
I think.
So it's like he could do that too, but is he better at Waddle at it? No.
Nah. Right.
So
I think that's why. I think that's why we were so confused about the Waddle hate. Because if you just put on the tape, there's no debate who's more explosive.
Yeah, I think it's because people was knocking Devontae Smith down so much because of his size, and I get it because in my opinion, size don't matter. Tyler, I want to know what's up with these Ben fans saying Matt Jones is a better quarterback too. White people. Sorry.
That's simple.
It's that simple.
I think you're right. I think it is that simple.
I'm just being real. But if both of them were to go back their senior citizens, Matt would be on the bench.
Yeah.
Again, right.
So white people. It's
Because he
okay.
was the
And
backup.
let's
Yeah,
be
but
honest, Tua at 60% on one hip would have won the Heisman.
So
Oh my God.
That's
Can you
what's
imagine
crazy.
that?
That's what's crazy. He would have won the Heisman.
Probably.
And this is
He
coming,
would have won.
and this is coming from somebody who I want every Bama player that comes from the NFL. I try to watch all of them because I want all of them to be successful. I have nothing against Mac Jones, nothing. But
he ain't too.
These Bama fans know. These Bama
Todd
fans know
says,
what's
not
up.
this white person. Mac Jones is garbage.
These Bama fans know what's up. They know what's
Yeah,
up.
but here's my thing. Like, okay, Bama fans, like, I just go back and watch tape. Like, I don't sit there invested on Saturdays watching Bama, right? So I go back and watch the tape. And the one thing that leaps out to you is we're talking earlier about how Tua's ability, whether you're Devontae Smith, whether you're Jerry Jeudy, whether you're Henry Ruggs or Waddle, he can hit you 45, 50 yards downfield in stride, meaning he can adapt to the speed he's throwing to. Mac Jones, even Devontae Smith is holding up and waiting for the football once you're getting past 40 yards. You know what I mean? Let alone Jalen Waddle sitting there having a picnic waiting for the ball to come to him, right? Like
noodle arm.
That's what I don't get with that, man.
And here's the thing.
But it's just like
Yes, here's the thing. Mac Jones did go undefeated, even though it was a pandemic year. He still were undefeated. In my opinion, Tua's competition his last 2 years were
by far
better,
a little bit more,
by
a
far.
little bit more harder than that.
It was much more
Kyler
respectable.
Murray.
Like if you watch, especially Tua's last year, them defensive players was coming for him.
Yeah.
They was coming for him. They was trying to get him up out of there.
Mac Jones didn't finish. Mac
That was
Jones
hated and abetted by Nick Saban.
Mac Jones did not face anything remotely close to that LSU defense, and then the year before that Clemson defense in the national championship.
Yep. Not even close.
Let alone, I'll go even this farther. I don't know if he faced a defense as good as the Georgia defense that Tua beat in the national championship.
I'm telling you, the last 2 years, you can't tell me they weren't trying to get him off their field. They was, even though they knew he was hurt or playing with a knee injury or ankle injury, they took their shots.
Yeah, they took their shots.
They was taking them shots.
Yeah, he played with a lot of injuries. Yeah.
And Tua, that LSU game, even though he lost, that was probably one of my favorite games because
he showed his heart, man.
The rest of
that was stardom.
The rest of the third and fourth quarter, number bomb throws.
He was on fire, yeah. He had Devontae Smith for like an 80-something yard touchdown. And
Going back to when you were, and he was injured.
I was just saying. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, my bad, Irv. Just to make that point about the competition between Tua and Mac, right? And none of us are trying to hate on Mac. It's just reality. This was a COVID-19 2020 season, right, for college football. Hella players sat out this year, and Najee Harris kind of mentioned that in his little docu-series with the Alabama, pro getting ready to be drafted and stuff. He mentioned that every single game, there were so many players that just weren't playing because they sat out the year. Like against Tennessee, he saw players that he knew shouldn't be playing against us. And he said, I'll just run through those guys like it's JV versus varsity. Like he said that's what they were.
Yeah, he said he wanted to play everybody at their best, and I was surprised that Nick Saban was probably the only one to make sure everybody did what they were supposed to do.
I think Nick Saban kind of mentioned, or whoever sits out this year will not be returning to my program.
I mean, no, he said. I think what got everybody close together was when all of them marched for the Black Lives Matter movement, and Najee.
The George Floyd,
Najee talked about that too. He didn't want to be the one to go up to them and tell them, "Oh, we need to do something." He said he told them, "I was waiting for y'all to come to me about that because people weren't gonna take me serious if I said
right
because he's a white guy, Yeah. So what does he know about the struggle?"
So he was happy when Najee came to him first. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, so I think that's why that's what made the players.
Everybody just buy in. Like, all right, let's play out this season together.
Look at the bigger picture, and the season's gonna show out because they could have left last year.
True.
Hey, but Martin, regarding the competition, with Tua versus Mac, I mean, Tua outdueled the Heisman Trophy winner on a bum ankle and threw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards or something like that. And it was
Don't get me started
Sugar Bowl
on
game.
Joe Burrow, bro.
The LSU game,
bro.
Man. Oh my God. Don't get me
You
started.
you don't like a lot of teams. LSU,
Bro, it was the
Auburn.
Oklahoma game.
No, here's my thing. I have no issue with LSU because they're a good team. My problem with Joe Burrow fans is they act like
he was good in 2018.
They act like he always played this way. No, last year in LSU was the first time he has played lights out.
Joe Brady offense.
True.
2018, he had them same players.
True.
And was not good. The only difference was Joe Brady.
Say that. Mm-hmm. Say that, Tyler.
That's the only difference.
Say
now,
that.
Yeah.
Now you hear me. What pisses me off too is you hear media analysts talking about, Tua didn't play like a Joe Burrow. And I'm like, what? What you worry Joe Burrow is? He started the entire season, and yet Tua has similar stats.
And he was healthy.
They have the similar
100%.
stats.
And Burrow threw more times.
Yeah, and Tua didn't come into the middle of the season. That would worry me if I'm a Bengals fan.
Well, what else should worry you too is, guess what? Zach Taylor catered that playbook and that offense to Joe Burrow.
Hey, and it's not just that. The knee injury is going to impact what makes him so good.
Yeah, that's
the athleticism. Without that,
right now.
Without that,
did you see that article?
No.
Did you see that article?
Yeah.
They basically say he's at like 80% or something like that, and they've been cleared that you can play football, but you're not back to 100%. You won't be this season.
I don't believe he 80%. I don't even.
Why are you rushing yourself back? Because Jamar Chase is showing up. Like, let me ask you. Look at that division. Why are you rushing yourself back? Are you winning that division this year?
No.
Hell no.
Mm-mm.
Ravens, Steelers, and the Browns are loaded this year.
Yeah,
there ain't no way they're winning that division.
You know what I'd be saying? Yo,
this is bad management by the team.
I would be saying, you got Jamar Chase. Kudos. Guess what? I'll come back next year when you have another draft to solidify that offensive line even more.
And I was about to say,
that
they didn't even show up the offensive line position in this draft. So
Jamar Chase is going to be so overrated.
They drafted Jackson Carman, who's going to be a guard.
Right.
I don't know why
he's
he's trying to
even
rush himself
good at guard.
Well, he was a tackle at Clemson. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I had him in my top 10.
I don't know what.
And they still got Jonah Williams, so.
I felt like they should have took Rashawn Slater instead of Jamar Chase, man, because this draft has so many good receivers in it, and they could have the best interior player.
Well, the reason why they took
Sewell, yeah.
Well, the reason why they took him is because they run the most 3 wide receiver personnel in the NFL. Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins is actually a pretty solid threesome, but like. They drafted Trey Hill, the center out of Georgia. They drafted I don't know if you guys heard him. He's kind of a sleeper. Dante Collinelli talked about him a little bit too. Deontay Smith, the tackle out of East Carolina. Yeah. They drafted him as well. Yeah. And they drafted Jackson Carman. Now I think Jackson Carman is going to kick inside the guard. And Deontay Smith is going to be basically the eventual right tackle when Riley Reef is gone either after this year or next.
So, that's not bad.
Because if you go back and watch that injury, that was actually on that was on the right guard. That was not on
right guard
tackle.
I'm gonna see how Jamar Chase does because he's just not a.
I think he's gonna struggle.
Yeah, I just don't see. I just never.
I don't see him living up to the hype that people.
Same goes for Trevor. I'm just.
You see what happened to Trevor today?
Yep.
Two pick sixes, baby.
I ain't see
that. No way.
I did not see that.
2 pick sixes in practice today.
I
told you.
You're looking more.
I told y'all.
You're looking more right.
Great white hook my ass.
Take away some of his reps for Tebow.
Look, I said, he's gonna be a turnover machine this year. Watching that team.
And then you know what's gonna happen? And then what are people in Jacksonville gonna be calling for? Tim Tebow. You watch.
Yo, I know. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
5.
Yeah, all it's going to take is a couple of bad games by Trevor. The stars are all aligning for more Tebow time in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer there. The stars are aligning, man. I'm telling you.
And then they're going to win another playoff game.
Watch these.
Oh, I know.
That's true.
You got to give him 3 years
That's
so you
true.
can properly judge him.
Yeah, watch the excuses.
But they're gonna give him
Alabama.
a year.
I got a player comp. I got a player comp for Trevor Lawrence. Jay Cutler. He's got the same exact personality, bro. He's got the same. He doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't care. He's got the same personality.
Y'all ever seen that meme with Smoking Jay before?
Absolutely. Smoking Jay doesn't care. That's hilarious. Great meme.
Terrible.
I'm done. He's got the same attitude.
Yeah.
Yo, if people actually watched Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, he was not good under pressure.
He regressed to me.
Yeah, I think we can all agree he did regress throughout his career.
He did.
Yeah,
freshman year was awesome. Sophomore year,
But how good was that
solid.
defense in his freshman year too, right?
Oh yeah.
That defense was
They had
super
3
good.
defensive linemen that went in the first round, bro. Like that was a solid defense.
Zach Wilson can end up being better than Trevor Lawrence, bro. Don't be surprised.
I think Justin Fields and I said this before. I think Justin Fields and Trey Lance are going to be the
best out of the 5 in the
I agree with Reason. I agree with Reason. I think Fields is going to end up being the best guy. That's the best.
Smoking Jay, baby.
I think Fields
That's a great
is
meme.
exactly like Watson.
That's our quarterback used to be in the 50s.
Yeah,
on the sideline smoking a square.
And reading the newspaper while the defense is out doing their thing.
That's how Joe Namath was, getting shit-faced all the time and smoking cigarettes.
Oh, man.
Reason.
My stepdad always tells me this story. He was like, he traveled around with the United States Olympic equestrian team. So horses, right?
Yeah.
And it was back like when the big shows happened at Madison Square Garden. And like it was one of those, and like equestrians, especially back then, everyone gets all dressed up because it's that
aristocratic. Yeah.
I was trying to find a polite word for rich white people money. Like all the aristocrats are out there, right? So they all got dressed up, right? Well, Joe Namath was like one of the guest like speakers or something, right? So Joe Namath walks out in like blue Wrangler jeans and like a t-shirt, and he always tells the story because all of Madison Square Garden started booing him because he didn't take it serious enough or whatever.
He was probably hammered.
Right.
Yeah, I really am.
I can imagine.
Joe Namath was always kind of like a hippie though. He was kind of like a hippie though.
He's from PA. He's from PA, bro. He's from PA.
Yeah, right.
That's what they do.
Yep.
Can we talk about how the 49ers pick might be top 10?
Yeah, because they lost a few players today.
Yeah,
they're cursed, bro.
They lost School, the guard. He's the starting right guard, and he's the backup right tackle. And they lost their backup safety. They lost Justin School, and what's the backup safety's name? Something Williams. Let me look.
Both of them tore their ACLs, right?
Yeah, one tore I think School tore his ACL, and Williams tore his Achilles.
So you guys are predicting like an injury bug that's gonna begin in San Francisco.
Again?
Yeah, kind of like what hit Texas.
49er fans were in the comments saying this happens every year. Travarius Moore tore his Achilles, and Justin School tore his ACL.
It's entirely. I mean, listen. If they get bit with the injury bug again, and then Garoppolo either
and the running back Jeff Wilson.
No, we won't Garoppolo.
Their running back Jeff Wilson Jr. He tore his meniscus.
A
couple weeks ago,
and he was coming back from an injury during the season from last year.
Yeah,
that guy's actually good.
He's actually a beast.
That's that dog.
Yeah.
That's that
The Niners drafted 2 backs though, didn't they? Didn't they draft?
Yep.
They drafted Hubbard and who else? The other
No. They drafted Trey Sermon and Elijah Mitchell from Louisiana.
That's right. That's what they did. Okay, yeah, you're right.
So they got 2 really good running backs. Yeah.
I love Sermon coming out, man. I really like Sermon. I liked
now we
him
just
a lot.
need that Jimmy G.
Yeah, we don't want
Jimmy G, the turnover machine.
Jimmy G flat tire.
I mean, the Seahawks, the Seahawks.
Let me ask you this: Jimmy G goes down. Who you starting? Trey Lance or Josh Rosen? Oh,
Josh Rosen.
I thought it was Josh Rosen.
The type of guy that would think there's. I want it to be Rosen.
Hopefully, with Josh Rosen.
Because Lance with our luck, Lance would come out and go 8-1 or something like that.
Yeah, I know, ball out.
It's cute. Y'all think the 49ers it's cute. Y'all think the 49ers are that stupid to start Josh Rosen.
Hey,
throw Rosen in there.
It's Kyle Shanahan. Anything's possible. He's a quarterback whisperer. Anything's possible. I could start tomorrow.
Oh man, Nick Mullins.
This is the only time Dolphins fans will be rooting for Josh Rosen.
Let's do
Ain't
it.
that something?
I'll still be rooting against him because.
Right. Still want him to fail.
Yeah.
With the organization.
We're rooting for the that
root for him to
Dolphin
win
year.
the job? Yes. Root for him to fail after he wins the job? 110%.
Right.
Yeah.
We're rooting for him to have
Put those Josh Rosen in the hot tub emojis in the chat right now because that's what we got them for, man.
My goodness.
Josh Rosen, the jabroni of all
Who
jabroni.
what's the first team Dolphins play in the preseason?
Bears.
Is it the Bears or Atlanta?
Oh wow.
Usually
Atlanta
August 21st. We play Atlanta August 21st.
Okay, so I know we normally play Atlanta every year.
In the preseason. What Atlanta's gonna look like without Julio? He with my boy Derek.
Yeah, so it's Bears, then it's the Atlanta Falcons, then it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Bro, we coming for your ass.
The DBs on the Atlanta's gonna have a long day on the 21st, boy. A long day.
We're gonna beat them so bad.
They go fight in the joint practices, bro. They're gonna fight, bro.
Yeah. Will Fuller gonna end up toasting them all, light work.
They're gonna fight in those joint practices, man. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but
so
Julio, they're gonna make some noise.
You'll probably see 2 to 3 series in game 1. You might see a quarter in game 2, and then you might see a quarter and a half to 2 quarters.
I took my picture off.
Game 3.
Right. There's no 4th game, right?
No.
Reason,
Right.
you know who I think is going to make
It's
some
gonna be
playoffs?
like dress
this year?
rehearsal in one of those games.
the phone back.
Say again about the playoffs.
I think the Bears might make it.
in the NFC North, yeah,
especially with that situation in Green Bay.
The Bears defense.
Do not sleep on my boy Jordan Love. Apparently, he's balling out at practice.
Yep.
We're gonna see how that's gonna turn out. But the Bears defense is quietly elite, bro.
Yeah,
like the Bears defense, every
They
level.
got that safety. They got that 6 safety, man. He's that. I forgot his safety.
Eddie Jackson.
Eddie Jackson, yeah, he's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's my boy.
What do you think starts week 1?
Who do y'all think starts week 1?
For who?
Andy Dalton.
Yeah, who do you think starts week 1 for Chicago?
The
It's
Red
gonna be
Rifle.
Andy Dalton or Justin Fields.
Andy, I'll say
Red
it's gonna be
Rifle.
Andy to be safe.
Apparently,
I think it's
Justin
gonna be
Fields
Andy.
is impressing though.
Yeah, but apparently
Absolutely, yeah.
Fields gonna get good bulk in the dress rehearsal game.
Apparently,
Yes,
if
he's gonna be
That's
must
gonna be a
watch
sight to
TV.
see.
apparently if Dalton starts, Nagy's getting fired. Apparently.
It's gonna suck that his main target is gonna be S and Byron Jones. It's gonna suck.
Yep. A lot of quarterbacks, that's going to be their favorite target.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
All right, man. We got about 2 hours and 15-minute mark. Let's go through. Let's get some final thoughts. Let's start with you, Martin.
Yes, Reason. Thanks for having us on, man. Again, really good show. I really like your guest, Alex Rollins. I watched his films, his breakdowns for a long time now, and I really like his work. What he said about Tua, respectfully, I agree and then I disagree, but he had good points about, you know, pretty much what you've been saying. Things just didn't seem quite right for Tua versus how it seemed for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and it just showed. So I'm glad we're not the only ones that can see the clear differences on film. And you know, I just hope you know, this team finds a way to you know, block out all the extra noise and really hone in on what it's going to take to you know, just put your blinders on it and take a game at a time and, you know, get into these playoffs. Because I truly believe, bro, once we win one playoff game, once we get that taste of blood in our mouth, bro, it's on. Like it's gonna be very difficult to go up against the Miami Dolphins in postseason play. So that's what I'm really waiting for, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna do come week 1 against the Patriots. Fins up though.
Tyler, your final thoughts.
I really don't have any. I mean, I'm just looking forward to this season, particularly the offense, and just to see, you know, all the whole hard work that Tua put in to come, you know, into fruition. And I really think this team is good enough to make it to the playoffs, and I just hope everything comes together for them and Tua specifically. You know, because again, I've never seen seen a rookie quarterback so harshly criticized, especially with everything that's been, you know, he had to deal with just to play last season. So I'm just looking to see how everything is gonna shake out, really.
Crypto, your final thoughts, buddy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see which one of those 3 preseason games, since it's been shortened, as they're going to use as our quote-unquote dress rehearsal to kind of give an inside look on how we're going to approach the season, as they always give a kind of a preview of one of those games. Normally it's the 3rd game. This time I'm thinking maybe it's going to be the second half of the second game or whatever. One of them is going to come with personnel groupings, which personnel groupings they're going to put together to kind of give us a preview on what to look forward to, because at that point we'll have pretty much maxed out our roster as far as who we're going to go with, because the suspensions don't kick in until the season actually starts. So we'll kind of get to know what our philosophy going to be with the two-headed coordinator approach and how we're going to approach it from outside in or inside out kind of approach. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And actually, we're technically 2 months away, you know, a little, you know, basically 2 months away.
Every 98 or 97 days away, right?
Yeah. From officially getting everything kicked off, for the season. I think it's middle of August, something like that.
And guys, tomorrow I'll be back at 9:00 with Dougley Do Wrong, TD Fins Talk, Tyler's favorite YouTuber.
Oh my god.
Mr. Ballgame and EM Dolphin will be joining as soon as he's done work.
Okay.
Irving, let's get your final thoughts.
Yeah, man. I like the Alex Rollins breakdown. I agree with pretty much most of it. I mean, he did explain. I mean, from outside looking in, he did a good job. You know, pointing out that this, you know, Tua was playing in a system that was not built up to, you know, that didn't fit his skill set, that it wasn't suited for his strengths as a quarterback. And he did fairly well. I mean, but you know, unlike most of these breakdowns, I didn't feel like not that he was wrong or anything like this, but I didn't feel like it was very balanced, because there's a lot of things like Kurt Warner, for example, like he showed things that Tua did well, you know, and Tua and you know, especially on film, Tua showed things why the Dolphins selected him at number 5 and why he possessed such elite traits that made him such a special, you know, prospect at that position. And, you know, I felt like Alex Rollins should have showed that a little bit, to show things that Tua can, you know, build on, especially for next season. But yeah, I definitely agree, you know, Tua missed open receivers. There were moments that he held on to the ball too long. Regarding his accuracy issues and stuff and the late reads, I just felt like, he didn't undertake the things that we've been talking about, especially with the exercise physiologist that, the way that his body was built, the way that, being, not being in plain weight, being out of shape and stuff affected some of his accuracy. He didn't have the lower, he didn't have the lower body extremities to what you wanted in a NFL season. And you could tell it affected some of his throws and stuff. So I felt like he didn't take that into account, but hey, it was fair. Regarding the Dolphins building a system, that fits to his strengths, on top of that, they added guys that build a playbook that fit his strengths. They added receivers that are pretty much the ones like he had at Alabama. Those guys are good route runners, good separators, pretty decent speed, guys who can get separation, get yards after the catch. And like Trent Dilfer said, Tua is one of the best, forward vertical quarterbacks that he's ever seen, in terms of a 4 wide receiver set. So I'm excited about that Miami is catering to Tua's strengths, and we'll see what happens from that point on. So fins up.
Shout out to Fins Forever 72 says, you're old when you look at Reason's hat and think he has not curved the brim to stop the sun and keeps it flat like the young team. Soren, if you're there, let's get your final thoughts, buddy.
Yeah, I'm here. Just one, thanks for having us on the show, and I really don't have much, but I just do want to say that I think Tua had an up and down rookie season last year. A lot of progression. I think he's only going to get better, and I think this team added a lot of really good pieces around him this offseason. I think going into next season, we have a top 10 receiver core, in my opinion, and I think he's only going to go up from here, and that's all I got to say.
Appreciate it.
Because I missed the first half of the stream.
No worries, man. Tomorrow I'll be uploading the interview with Alex Rollins, just clipped out by itself. So I'll have that up tomorrow morning by lunchtime at the latest. All right, guys. I will be back tomorrow night with TD Fins Talk, Douglas Do Wrong, Mr. Ballgame, and EM Dolphin Fan. At some point, he'll be joining. And then I'll have Jared Doak's prospect preview coming out this week. And we'll probably be live Thursday and Friday as well, too. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. Until next time, stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. Fins up all day, every day, baby.
Peace.